Hello. It is I. How do I sound compared to the music? Is anybody out there to tell me? Whoops. How I sound in comparison to what you're hearing in your ear spaces. Do I need to turn the music down more? Ghost Pepper! Oh, okay. I mean, I figured you were doing something else. You can ignore the text I just sent you then. I might actually take the headphones off because I'm finding them weirdly distracting today. So yeah, I was originally thinking I would end up doing this stream potentially on Friday. But after just sort of going over the schedule and sort of looking at what was available to do, the certain things that we need to do this week, this is just sort of the day that ended up working out, the time that ended up working out for having this sort of little just chatting stream. I guess if I'm not showing my OBS, I can actually move this over here so that I'm actually looking at the camera instead of off center. Goodness, can you tell that I was like ultra organized for this stream this morning? I rearranged the display a bit since I'm not going to be doing any writing today. I really need this coffee this morning. So this is just a little bit of a just chatting stream. I used to do these like every 2 months or so over on Ghost Pepper's channel, my lovely husband. Before I started streaming, they're just small little chats about what I'm doing, what I've been up to, what I'm hoping to be up to in the near future. And sort of just how things are going. And if you guys remember, we spent a stream over Christmas break setting this up, my nice little day planner. So I'm not necessarily going to be filling out the next portion of this specifically on stream, but I will hopefully... Hey Flutter, how are you? I was gonna say good morning, but I guess it's technically afternoon where you are. What is up? We're just looking at my pretty planner. We're going to check on what the first, because technically we're done with the first quarter of the year, right? So it's time to look at what I did for the first quarter, and if it was what I expected to do for the first quarter, and what I'm gonna do for the second quarter. Slept in a bit? Nice. I also slept in more than I expected to. I slept like a rock last night. Can't believe that the year's a quarter over. I know, right? Also, that March was like the most insane of months, and like somehow it felt like there were 3 million things going on in the month of March alone. So, pretty much pretty much every minute of the last few weeks has been planned. So I've been taking time this week to relax because this was the week I decided to take off. And also, it came up that we need to, so I've been talking about this on and off, and I'll get to this more in the stream. But we need to install a new hard drive in my computer because apparently my hard drive is a tortoise. And it was funny because I was talking to Flutter and Woof on Monday about like my problems with Windows Update, and they were both like, yeah, it just takes like 5 minutes, and I'm like, it takes 3 hours. For a feature update, it's like 4 hours, and for just regular updates, it's like 2 hours. It's bonkers town, but it also just takes like a half an hour to turn on my computer. Yeah. I don't know if like I ended up with like a bump drive, or if like it's entirely possible that my Windows installation could be corrupt, and that's why it's so slow. I have no idea. It's pretty much always been this slow since I got the computer. And I do remember one of the Dell techs being like, it shouldn't be this slow. And I'm like, thanks, it is this slow. So what do you want me to do about it? But we've purchased in this box right behind my hand, we've purchased me a solid state drive. There's one for Ghost in there too. And I've mentioned before that Ghost is going to give me his RAM because he got some upgraded Corsair RAM. So tomorrow morning, the plan is to just pop open both computers and just put in the new hardware. And I'm going to be reinstalling Windows. I made a bunch of lists last night before I drank a bit too much wine. I was going to do all my backups last night, and then I was just into the wine, and I was like, I guess I should wait until I'm coherent to actually start moving data around. But I've made a list of like where everything is and what all I need to reinstall, and just made sure like I've sort of taken inventory of all of the things that I need for my work environment so that I can really quickly get those copied over. And originally I was thinking we were going to start that today, which is why originally I was going to do this stream on Friday. But looking at it, it just didn't quite work out for Ghost to actually pop his computer open today, because he's got some stuff going on this afternoon with the boys. Andrew and I think Pato and a bunch of them will be playing Monster Hunter. So it just made sense, just in case something goes catastrophically wrong. I was like, all right, I'll just do my Just Chatting stream before I actually open my computer, and then that way if something goes horribly wrong and I don't know, I have to like reset all of my OBS or whatever, I'm not like panicking. So this is hopefully my last stream on it's gonna be the same computer, but it's gonna be new hard drive, new RAM, less problems, hopefully. I've not actually ever, for anyone who doesn't know, for anyone who's watching this who doesn't know my background, I actually went to school for IT and networking. Thank you, I appreciate that. I seem to have bad luck with my own computers, which is really frustrating. But I went to computer for IT and networking, so it's not like I don't know how to install Windows and go through the whole rigmarole. It's just that I've never done it on an SSD. So the process that I'm familiar with, it sounds like it's quite a bit slower, because from what I've been reading, I looked up like how long it takes to install Windows on a solid state drive, and people are like, it takes like half an hour, and I'm like, that's bonkers, because when we used to do it back in school, it would take at least an hour for the Windows imaging process, but before that you would have to wait like an hour for it to format the drive, right? So fingers crossed. I have a hair appointment tomorrow, so if I can actually get Windows installed before I go get my hair cut and then come home and just like do the parade of installations for getting back up and running, fingers and toes crossed, that would be amazing. Pie with a hydrate. Thank you, Pie. Also, how are you lurking in the background back there? I hope you're doing well. So yeah, this was an unexpected thing that sort of cropped up a couple weeks back. I'm doing pretty good, actually. I've been enjoying my week off. I'm a little bit stressed out about doing the new hard drive, just because I have had some bad luck with hard drives and new installations in the past, but I'm hoping that everything will go smoothly and quickly. This was a thing that popped up about a month ago, actually. Some of you may have seen me post in the Discord. Basically, because of the slowness issues that I've mentioned, I try to keep Windows updates paused, and I schedule a time when I can run them once a month where it won't interfere with my work. Because otherwise, if I'm trying to stream or if I'm trying to even just write, it goes really poorly if it just randomly runs an update. And what happened was it somehow, even though Windows Update was paused and everything was set up so that it wouldn't interrupt my work time. I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry. I apologize in advance. I'll try to sneeze away from the mic. What happened was it just turned on a Windows Update in the background, and it took 3 hours, and I was trying to write. Luckily, I wasn't streaming that day, but I was trying to write on my computer to give you guys some idea of, like, hang on, let me fix. Don't know what happened there, but oh boy. So I was trying to write while this update was running in the background, and like I would type a few sentences into Word and hit the save button, and it would like Word would go to not responding. And so I would at one point I like panicked and hit the print screen button just in case, but it would come back. But it was basically like the program was almost crashing every time I just hit the save button. So that went on for like 3 hours and was really awful. And is why I don't just let, Windows do whatever in the background, because this computer has just never been able to handle it. But there's also other stupid things, like if I'm trying to lurk in someone's stream on Twitch, sometimes my hard drive also slows down. Like I've shown this to Ghost Pepper and he can't believe it, because I'm like, sometimes he's like, are you gonna lurk? And I'm like, well, if I can, like, because sometimes depending on what I'm running on the side, my computer just loses its shit. And it's always kind of been like this since I got it. But yeah, it's not what I wanted from a new computer. Get a typewriter, they don't bug out as much. Squanchy, you have no idea how tempted I am. The problem is, if I use a typewriter, then it's much harder to edit because I don't have a digital file that I can just go back and change. This is why I started doing everything digitally. But there's a part of me that would love to just do all of my manuscripts on a typewriter. That's how Terry Pratchett wrote, actually, was he would write like 250 words every day. So it's basically like, or he would do, I think it was 2 to 3 pages on a typewriter every day. And that was how he wrote like all of his novels. Also, hey Squanch, how are you? No worries, Ghost. I figured you'd be doing something in the background. I mean, there's nothing exciting going on my screen today. I'm just kind of shooting the shit. But yeah. So I've always sort of had this problem with the hard drive, but hard drives are kind of the easiest things to replace. So we talked to Jinto. Shout out to Jinto Lin, super cool member of this community. And he helped us find, I think they're, is it NVE? drives. So solid state NVE drives are just like little, they look like little chips that you put into your motherboard. We are 95% sure that the one we bought for me is going to fit. If it doesn't, then I guess I'm not reinstalling Windows tomorrow. Just doing another freaking update. But he helped us pick those drives, the fastest, basically the fastest possible upgrade that I can get. And hopefully, we're also going to fix the long-term problem that I've been having with my RAM, because we know that Ghost has a pair that works. Mine are unpaired, which causes issues. And so hopefully I'll have the computer of my dreams after the break. Next time I stream, hopefully it will be from that setup, and hopefully it'll look mostly the same as it usually looks. The only thing I haven't figured out how to actually back up yet is OBS. So if anybody knows how I can actually like, if anyone knows how I can actually like very quickly and easily switch over my OBS stuff, please tell me, because I don't necessarily want to have to reset everything up, although my setup is pretty simple, so I think if I screenshot everything I might be okay. I don't know. I was having this conversation with Flutter the other day too, because if you have to do a complete and total reset of OBS, then you suddenly have to remember how you had everything set up and where all the sliders are and what you put on each scene, and otherwise you're gonna go live and be like, oops, I didn't do that. So yeah, that's an unexpected thing to have cropped up in March, but at the same time, I'm sort of sick of my computer feeling like it's held together by duct tape and band-aids, so it'll be nice to actually have something that does what I want it to do. But yeah, this is mostly supposed to be a writing stream. I mean, it makes a little bit of sense to do some computer talk because the computer is my work environment. And it would be a lie to say I haven't been tempted in the past to actually buy a completely separate computer to use for my writing, just because it would be so much easier to not have to worry about like all of my gaming stuff and all of my work stuff in the same space. But that's not not really an option right now. So that's happening, but I've also been making sure to take some time to take a break because, as the day planner will show, it's been a heck of a ride. Roaming Witch, hello! It's going well. I just got done talking about my computer woes and why I'm going to be completely installing a new hard drive tomorrow, hopefully, fingers crossed. You guys are right, I probably should take more breaks. I have a very ambitious schedule, and it only allows for a certain number of weeks off in the year. So when this thing came up of me having to reinstall the hard drive, it was a little bit rough because I was like, I really only have 1 week off. But I do promise you guys, I have been taking... If you go over to the Discord right now, you can see pictures of what I've been doing on March break. Now, the first thing I did, the first thing there's photos of, is I actually took every key off of my keyboard. I don't know, you guys, there's no before shot now. There is on Discord. But I actually, I took every key off of this keyboard. And I completely cleaned underneath here. There's no more crumbs. I'm bad, I eat at my keyboards. There's no more crumbs under here. I cleaned the keyboard tray, like the underneath portion is, I think, cleaner than it's been in months. I completely cleaned, just took every key off. The keys were cleaned, under the keys were cleaned. Ghost can attest, he saw me bent over. He only saw like the last 20 or so minutes of it, but I spent about 40 minutes bent over the keyboard, and you guys would be like, oh, it's not a break. It was actually very relaxing. While I was cleaning the keys, I was just watching Critical Role. So it actually was not stressful at all. But it's clean. It's almost like new, super clean, super happy. Gotta protect those sweet, sweet Cherry MX blue switches that are in there, which there are pictures of now on Discord. So I did that, but also the thing that I've mostly been working on. He saw you bent over, that's no proof. Well, he saw me bent over the keyboard. Like, he saw the keyboard as well. The keyboard was there too. But I'm also putting together a 1,000-piece puzzle, like I do on my breaks. It's kind of become a bit of a tradition. And I'm doing the, oh, I forgot to actually post the one. Let me post the update. I'll do it live on stream so you guys can see the proof, that I'm not working the whole time. For me, this is like ultra relaxing. I just put on some music and, just do the whole puzzle thing. I meant to post this before I went live so that I could prove to you guys that I'm actually not working the whole time. This puzzle has proven really hard because there's like, there's what appears to be straight edge pieces in the middle. There, the picture is live on Discord. You can go see how far I am in the process. But I'm working on that. I also had a dentist appointment yesterday for a cleaning, which I guess is kind of like, when I was thinking about it, I was like, it's kind of like the spa day for your mouth, but it doesn't feel that way. I hate all the like pointy, pokey, scrapey tools that they use on your teeth, but it went well, so I missed doing this. This was me too. Like, I hadn't done before Christmas. Actually, what happened was Flutter came over to visit, and the spa day for your mouth. It is kind of. I mean, I hate dentist appointments too, Flutter. I'm not gonna lie. But Flutter came over to visit last October, and I found this dragon-shaped puzzle in our closet, and I was like, this sounds cool, and I just dumped it out, and it was actually really fucking hard. That fucking dragon puzzle is right, because it was like the hardest puzzle I've done in a long time, and this is my 4th puzzle since then, and I have not done anything that was as hard as that fucking dragon puzzle. It was ridiculous. But I did that, and then I was like, but what if I did a puzzle that, like, isn't nonsensical? So I bought, I actually have it in the closet now. I bought this puzzle. This is Ravensburger. They make really amazing puzzles, and it's Ursula, because of course it is. Because in case you can't maybe tell something about me and Ursula, this one I did over Christmas, and it was amazing. I loved it. It was, I'm tempted to do it again because I liked it so much. So this I did it over Christmas, and then I finished it in a week, so I was like, uh-oh, I need an emergency backup puzzle, so I just dug in the closet for another one. So I ended up getting this Dodger Coffee one that you can see on the Discord, that I'm doing right now, and even though it's a bit hard mode because it has some really weird piece structure, it's still not as bad as the dragon. Nothing was as bad as that dragon. But speaking of Ravensburger, they have a bunch of Disney villains, and there's a Dr. Facilier one that looks amazing, so that's next on my wish list. I want the Dr. Facilier one, and I want the Scar one. My family used to frame complete puzzles, then hang them on the wall instead of paintings. My grandfather used to do that too. He would do like these giant, like 10,000 piece puzzles. And then he would put glue, like that puzzle glue over them when he was finished with them. And these were like massive. I'd have to back way up to do like the arm reach. These were like massive, massive puzzles with teeny tiny pieces. And he would spend weeks on them. And then he would glue them together and get them framed. So it's certainly like you put the effort in, right? I usually just leave them on the table for a few weeks after I do them. But yeah, I also found this really cool like 3-pack on Amazon of puzzles that are like, they have some kind of twist to them because they come with a little envelope that you open after you finish the puzzle. So I'm very intrigued. So I'm looking at that. But so I promise you guys I am taking a break. Last night during Winds of Chaos D&D, I had a half a bottle of wine left over from girls' night, and I was just like, fuck it, and I drank that, and it was a good time. Some people can attest that I may have gone on the Winds of Chaos call afterward and just been like, I'm drunk, I love you guys. I didn't have a hangover, although it's possibly because after we got off of there, I asked Ghost if I should drink water or rum, and he said I should drink water. So I drank water before I went to bed, and that probably helped. But I did sleep like a rock last night. I had that wine tired, and I passed out, and I woke up this morning, and I was like, oh. No hangover, proof you didn't do that. That I didn't drink half a bottle of wine. I mean, I can show you the empty bottle of wine. You need to think, what would Flutter do? Flutter would have had the rum. And I was so, like, I almost was like, screw it, I'm just gonna pour myself rum and ginger. But then I didn't. Roaming Witch, did I get a chance to ask you what's up and how you're doing? I've been streaming for like half an hour and I still haven't talked about writing progress updates yet. Lol. But no, break has been good. It's been really good. I'm hoping that actually, after looking into all of the timings for how long it will take to install Windows, I'm hoping that it'll actually take much less time. Because I thought I was going to need 2 days of computer setup, and I think now I'll only actually need like half a day or like 2/3 of a day. You have exciting news! What is it, Roaming Witch? Tell us! So yeah, but way back in December, we set this up, and I remember I mentioned, I'm just going to flash it really quick, that there's a, every 3 months, there's a page that lets you put your goals for each month, and I sort of cross it out, and I put my writing goals, my publishing goals, and my marketing goals in each area. And so I thought, hey, it's the end of March. It would be really cool to look back over what I had put into my goals for each month and see how I did. I'm officially starting an acoustic guitar build, finally getting back into it after 4 years, and I'm so excited. That sounds amazing! Can you share pictures of your progress on the Discord? Because I would love to see that come together. That sounds absolutely amazing. I mean, no pressure if you don't want to, but I would love to see how that process works, and like what it looks like at each stage, because I don't know how to build a guitar. That sounds so cool. Okay, so absolutely. I can also send a link to my Instagram. I'll be updating the process on there as well. Absolutely. I don't hang out on Instagram very much, but I do at least have an account so I can follow you and like check up on what's happening. My Instagram is pretty much dead, as I think we discussed on here before. I don't take enough pictures. I don't feel like my life is exciting enough for Instagram. So I did fill this in off camera, just because, and like I said, I probably won't fill in the next one just because I have to do actually a lot of math to figure out, when I will complete certain things. So that will probably happen. The actual filling out will probably happen off camera. But, so my writing goals for January, was to start writing Bloodforged Bonds, which was the third book in Visions Unlike They Seem. And we did that on stream. I believe it was January 6th we started that on stream. And I didn't stream writing the entire book. But I streamed much of the writing for that book, and we finished it on February 28th, which was my big writing goal for February, was finish writing Bloodforged Bonds. So we did that. We wrote a book in January and February. It was a little over 100,000 words, if I remember properly. I think it was 115,000. I've also started an art Instagram, but I'm waiting to fill it up with stuff before I make the big announcement. Ooh! Well, let us know when you release that into the wild, Roaming Witch, because the art that you've posted on Discord has been amazing. I don't think I can properly articulate how just cute and wonderful and beautiful those images have been. I love them. I absolutely love them. So yeah, that was... I think I've kind of mentioned before that I do sort of a draft cycle where I write and then I edit something that I had previously written, and then I polish something I had previously edited before I go back to writing. And so usually in an ideal world I would have finished Bloodforged Bonds would have been my nano project, and I would have finished it in December. But because there's not enough time in the year, I end up finishing the end of that trilogy at the beginning of the year, and then I go back and edit whatever trilogy I had written prior. So that was sort of the big beginning of the year thing, was to write this last book and then go into editing mode, which is kind of where I am now. Also in January, I outlined and started writing The Empire of Eternity, which is the final book in the Eternity's Empire series. Book 8, the conclusion, the big epic final everything. And it was my goal to finish writing that in February, which I also did. I did that completely. I think I did one writing stream of it, and I did it almost completely off stream because mega spoilers for that book, because it's the last book in a series. So it was like, I absolutely do not think I can write any of this. For a series that is currently partially published, it would have been, I think, major spoilers. So I did that off screen. I haven't edited that yet. That's going to be a goal for coming up here in April. But I did completely write it in January and February. It is finished. It's an extra chapter. So anyone who reads my Eternity's Empire series, they're usually 5 chapters long, and each chapter is... They started out at around 10,000. They've grown to about 12,000 words per chapter. And so it is 6 chapters at about 12,000 words each. It is, I think they started out at around 50,000 words, and I think this one is around 75,000. So it's definitely supersized. But I'm very happy with it. It was amazing to write. It needs a little bit of cleanup. There are a few things after I reread through book 7, getting it ready for publication. There are a few things I need to go back and clean up. But it's super exciting to finish a series, actually, and like write the end. They've been so fun to make. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying the art. Ooh, is this the Instagram? Oh, nice. Okay. I see, I see. This is like an alien world to me. I know nothing about how guitars are put together, so this is super cool. Gonna be looking over that after stream. So yeah, there was a flurry of writing that took place in January and February. I also have a couple secret projects that I can't really talk about because they involve a pen name. So, but those things happened as well in January and February. For March, I started editing Madness Beyond Control, which is the first book in the second trilogy of the Aravalia Chronicles. So the Aravalia Chronicles, mostly the project that I've been working on stream, is my modern day high fantasy. So it's a high fantasy novel, think Lord of the Rings, but it's set in a modern day world. So you have magic, you have computers, you have cell phones, but you also have, sword fights, knights, magic. You can go down to the local Starbucks and get a magic shot in your espresso. So you could get a shot of courage, or charm, or stuff like that. Little boosts. You could get a luck boost to get you through your day. Whatever you think will be helpful in the given moment. That amount is mostly just a bunch of technicians following each other. I try to make it so regular people can understand what I'm doing in the pictures. Yeah, I'm interested to. I obviously didn't click on anything yet to read any of the descriptions. But it's just super cool to see like a naked guitar and just like what goes into making it do the thing. Gonna need to lurk. Hope you have a lovely day. Well, thank you so much for hanging out a bit, Flutter. Enjoy your lurk. Good luck with whatever it is that you are working on, AFK. I super appreciate it. So that's the Aravalia Chronicles. That's the story that I've been working on. It's 5 trilogies long, so it's 15 books. The first 3 trilogies are written, so the first 9 books in the series are currently written. I have 6 more books to write in that series. The first trilogy was called Once Upon a Dream, which we haven't touched on stream yet. More on that later. The second trilogy was called The Beast's Wicked Gleam, and that's what I'm currently working on editing. It's made up of 3 books. Can I remember the names of them? It is, I can't, but I can look at it. Hang on. I can open a thing. Can't remember my own book titles. So the Beast Wicked Gleam, the 3 books are called Madness Beyond Control, Words Beyond Reason, and Life Beyond Time. Each one gets its own naming scheme, which is supposed to make them easy to remember. So currently I'm working on Madness Beyond Control, the first book. I'm about a third of the way through it. I had to add some scenes in. So it's been a little bit slow going. It always is. Editing always feels so much slower to me than writing, even though I technically kind of move through it at the same pace. I'm hoping, I have to do some quick calculations, which I'll do off stream, but I'm hoping to be finished editing the first book sometime around the end of April. But editing for that trilogy will probably take me right up till July. The end of June, rather. Possibly July too, though. I have to do the calculations again. It does take me about 6 months to edit a trilogy. It takes me about the same amount of time to write it, so I think it's usually about 5 months for writing and then about 6 months for editing. So it's a long process. These are monster books. I think before I started editing it, Madness Beyond Control was 85,000 words, which is on the low end for this series. Most of them end up being around 100,000 words when they're finished. So they are quite monster projects, a bit of an undertaking to get through. But I am enjoying it. I felt like this book was a pretty big train wreck when I started editing it, or at least when I wrote it. And I'm finding that it has more merit in it than I initially thought. I think the hardest book in that trilogy to edit is going to be, what is it? Words Beyond Reason. Because the middle one, of course, because the middle is always the hardest. But I think it's definitely the one that's sort of most lacking. The main character, Dameron, who is glaring at me from up in the corner, because that's kind of how my life feels anyway when I'm not writing. This is kind of just what it naturally feels like. Like my character is glaring at me over my shoulder to get me to do work, which is why I work so much. But how many passes does it usually take for you to decide what exactly is going to happen for every chapter? So for me, it's a bit of a process. It usually takes. It depends on if you count the outline as a pass, because that's my first attempt to decide what happens in each chapter. So I would say 3. Usually I attempt to decide what I think will happen in each chapter and where my breaks will be when I do my initial outline. And then oftentimes what I find is when I write my first draft that I've put the breaks in the wrong spots, or just need to like rearrange things, or don't have enough happening, or need to have other things happening. And so I do a little bit of that on the fly when I'm doing my first draft, and then I just go back and update my outline so that it matches what I wrote. But where I really get things in the right spots is during that first editing pass. So lots of people do many editing passes, and I definitely recommend that. But I am a little bit neurotic. I try to do just one very comprehensive editing pass. Where I'm doing everything, and you guys have probably seen me do this on stream. I'm doing everything. I'm doing line edits, I'm doing proofing, doing story edits. I'm just kind of doing it all in one big go, and I'm just trying to get everything working the best that it can possibly work. And so it's really intensive. It takes a lot of time. There's a lot of intensely staring at the screen and screaming at sentences to just be a sentence. Oh my god. And then by the end of that process is usually when I finally have things settled in the right places. I've usually at that point finalized for the most part what the story is going to be, and where, like, what order everything is going to happen in, and then I send it out to my betas. And then my betas will tell me if there's anything missing, or anything that doesn't make sense, or anything that needs more attention. It makes me feel better. I have a feeling I'll be needing 3 or 4 passes to settle on my story plot. That's not abnormal, Roaming Witch, honestly. And, like, first of all, like, you're not even really gonna know until you get to the end of that first draft anyway, like, where all your holes are to begin with. So you're definitely probably not going to nail it. I mean, maybe some people nail it on the first try, but you're probably not going to nail it on the first try. So you need at least another pass or 2 to make sure. And like I have during my polishing pass for Once Upon a Dream, I have a bunch of notes of things that kind of fell flat in certain aspects of that book. So I have stuff that I have to go back and add in. Nothing that like changes the plot, but definitely some things that enhance the plot and make certain elements that fell through the cracks come through a little bit more clearly. So yeah, definitely. My polishing passes are definitely less intense than my editing, like my initial editing passes. But my first editing pass is just very intense. Editing is the part I hate most and feel like is my biggest point. Hey Minty, how are you? Editing is the hardest part for me too, and I used to really struggle with doing it at all because it just felt like super soul-sucking. But I've sort of learned to embrace it because I like how my writing comes out the other side. I can definitely see how in the first draft I'm just kind of kind of like a newborn deer. I'm just all leg. And I'm just trying to leg my way through this story and figure out where to bend my knees. And then when you go back through with the editing and you clean it up a bit and you're looking at it with a more clinical eye, with a firmer grasp of the story and some experience as to like how do my characters actually do this and where am I actually going, it comes out the other side much sleeker. That doesn't make it easier. It doesn't make the process easier. It doesn't make me feel like it's any less intense or any easier, but it does feel less soul-sucking because I know that the energy and the effort that I'm putting into that is going to be rewarded, if that makes sense. Like, I know that it's worth it, what I'm doing. And so that has at least allowed me to like focus in on it and practice at it and get better at it. And at least like, I don't feel like I'm drowning when I do edits anymore. I used to really, really just like, it used to be like slamming myself against a wall every time. But now I'm kind of to the point where like, I also know that the middle is the worst part. I'm gonna get to the middle, and for me, since I write in trilogies and I edit in trilogies, it's the middle book. The middle of the middle book is the worst part because that's where I'm gonna be like, this is garbage. But you learn to identify your problem points, right? You learn to identify, because it's the same when you're writing something too. Like, you start out in that honeymoon phase and you're like, oh, this is really great and I really love it and I'm having a good time. And then you hit a point where you're like, this is garbage. Who's going to read this? And so learning to identify when you've hit that point where you're having a crisis of faith and push through it and get to the other side of it and start to feel good about the project again. Like, if you start to recognize that cycle, that helps too. Because as soon as I hit that point where I'm like, who's gonna read this garbage? I know to step back and say, okay, you're just at that point. You're just at the bad point in the process right now. And there's actually quite a famous story that Neil Gaiman posted on his blog where he was working on, I don't remember which book, but he was working on one of his books, which they're all bestsellers. And he called his editor and was like, this is it. I can't do this anymore. I'm a garbage writer. And she was like, oh, you've hit that part of the book, right? Because she brought to his attention that he just did this every time he wrote a book. And it's very sobering to realize that it's just kind of part of the process. And you just kind of have to work through it. And keep at it until you get to the point where you don't feel like you're banging your head against the wall, which sucks to say, but is kind of like the only way. I have plot holes in my last Dano project that you could drive a truck through. I mean, I have plot holes in some of my novels that you could drive a truck through. I mean, I'm filling those gaps right now, not as we speak because I'm off this week, but that's what I've been doing for the past month. It happens. Like, I think it's perfectly normal to write something and then go back through it and be like, oh yeah, what's actually happening with these people at that point in time? Why did they just vanish? The middle drove me insane for years. There's just so many possibilities. I've heard that story and I always find it hilarious and wholesome. I know, right? That a best-selling author would call his editor and be like, no one's going to read anything that I write. It's like, dude, everyone's going to read everything that you write. No, I think it's like, that's one of the reasons why I like to do these streams and have these conversations, is because I think when you read a polished piece of writing, you get this idea that like it came fully formed from the author's head, and it's just this magic process of, you know, here's this brainchild of mine in all its glory, and you don't see. It's like if you watch Bob Ross paint, right? Everything's done in layers. Like, you don't just snap your fingers and put the entire mountain or lake or whatever on the canvas. You have to go through and you have to add bit by bit and layer by layer what you're actually doing. Um, and uh, and it's even harder like when it's words, right? Because it's not as visual. You can't see it necessarily unfolding in the same way you see an art piece coming together. And so I think that's why it's so important to talk about the raw, right? And talk about how you're going to write something and you're probably going to love parts of your first draft and you're probably going to hate parts of your first draft. But you're not really going to have anything that approaches that polished state until you've gone over it a few times, because that's just how writing works. And yeah, you're gonna have magical bits that you find where you don't have to touch very much, and then you're gonna have whole scenes that you have to rewrite because, you know, for whatever reason they just don't work, or you just weren't in it that day, or you just decided that you needed to change whatever. And I think knowing that that's normal, knowing that that's just kind of how the process works, I think that's really important, because routine really saves a writer. Knowing the process and trusting the process is something that you have to do, because you are going to have days where you just want to shred your whole manuscript and burn it. And if you do that, then you'll never finish it. So, my antagonist decided he wanted to be a protagonist instead, which really screwed things up in the middle. Yeah, characters are dicks. I've said this like a dozen times, but I had to rewrite the entire plot of Once Upon a Dream because one of Dameron's friends decided that he was the actual love interest instead of the character that was supposed to be the love interest, and it changed everything. Luckily, it did that in the early stages before I had written a whole draft, or I would have lost my mind. Isn't Frozen about an antagonist who became a protagonist halfway through? Well, so Frozen was supposed to be the Ice Queen, and that's not how the Ice Queen goes. The Ice Queen is supposed to be the antagonist the whole way through the story. What happened with Frozen was they wrote the song Let It Go, and they loved the positive affirmation so much that they decided to change the whole movie. And then we got what we got, and it's bad. I watched Hit Save Cyril do a Bob Ross stream. It was amazing to watch. The painting evolved. Yeah, so Nilesy of the Yogscast sometimes does Bob Ross style painting streams for the Jingle Jam, because he's studied the Bob Ross method. And it's really cool to see how it works, right? Because you hear Bob Ross say anyone can do this, and you look at how effortlessly he does the painting and you think, I can't do that. But then you see these people actually do it, and it's amazing. And it's mind-blowing. Part of me would really like to try it one day, because it just seems super chill and also super cool. The secondary antagonist became the primary antagonist, but his motives weren't fleshed out well, and it makes the ending feel forced and weak. I mean, in a first draft, that happens, right? Just take some time away from it to think about it, and that gives you that chance to develop that character and flesh out his motives, and then you can go back and fill in the blanks. I do that all the time. I had a character, I don't remember if I've talked about this on stream, but about midway through, we've got a hydrate and a stretch. Actually, Halo Banshee, thank you for both of those. I'm gonna do a quick BRB because my coffee's gotten cold. And we don't like cold coffee on this stream. I'm gonna pop AFK just for 1 minute. I'm gonna reheat my coffee. I'm gonna come back and do a proper stretch and a proper hydrate, because Halo Banshee's taking good care of us. First boop, now self-care. Exactly. You want me to grab some water for the hydrate, Halo Banshee? I can do that. I will grab some water. Silly bean, pun intended. Let me go do that. I'll just be away for 1 moment, and then we'll have some self-care. All right, so gotta hydrate for Halo Banshee, water as requested. Hydrate with water, then dehydrate with coffee. And a nice big stretch. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That feels good. Thank you, Halo Banshee, for taking care of the streamer as usual. I missed a few things in chat. Disney are cowards, for sure. Gasp, she said Frozen is bad. I think Frozen is awful. It's my least favorite Disney movie. I was supposed to have my female main character be super snarky and poke fun at male main character, but when I wrote it, male main character was snarky as hell and absolutely tore female main character to shreds. Oh no! So that's like, when I put together Dameron as a character, he was supposed to be this, like, quiet, sort of lurking in the background, super serious person, and sometimes he is that, but also he's just a snarky bastard, and he's a drunk, and he says what he thinks when he thinks it, and he just popped fully formed into my head. But also, as I was saying before, about midway through the third book, the book that I was writing on stream before, Visions Unlike They Seem, one of the characters sort of developed into the perfect foil for Dameron, and it just sort of, it was completely unplanned, but it sort of came together that, you know, he's also this super skilled warrior who just so happens to be fighting for the opposite side because, you know, he sees the merit in what the main antagonist is trying to do. And it just so happens that there are these parallels in their history, sort of, that make it under different circumstances they probably would have been good friends, but instead they're actually becoming nemeses. And it was kind of like, I didn't realize that this character needed a nemesis, but he kind of does. You know, he's a super skilled warrior. It's hard to throw things at him that remain challenging. And I sort of realized midway through writing this book that he was going to need to have a reoccurring antagonist that wasn't the main big boss, that he actually loses to from time to time. And so this character, Langdell, developed. And is still developing, because he was sort of a last-minute addition, but it's been very interesting to explore their relationship and how that is actually going to end up applying to the final version of the book. But it was totally... Stretch your hands, too? That's a good idea. Especially for someone who spends the day typing a lot. Frozen is overrated? Heavily. One good song does not a good movie make. Always got to make sure people are taking care of themselves. I really appreciate that about you, Halo Banshee, because I had actually stopped drinking my coffee because it had gotten cold, and I probably really did need to stand up and stretch and move around, so I always appreciate you popping in here and taking care of me. I can't watch Frozen without just picking it apart. One of the bad things about being a writer and an editor, because as I've mentioned, I edit for other authors as well, is that sometimes you can't turn off that part of your brain. And so sometimes I can't just sit down and watch a movie. I have to pick it to pieces. If I can start picking pieces in the plot within like 3 minutes, I just can't. Sometimes I just can't forgive that, because I'm like, if you can't engross me enough to turn off my editor brain, then... That said, the other day we talked about how my guilty pleasure movie is like the original Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone, and the writing for that movie is awful, but the movie is still very enjoyable, so, you know. To each and all their own. If you love Frozen, go ahead and love it, but I'm just not going to be on that train with you. So yeah, that's what I've been up to for writing, and like I said, editing this particular trilogy is going to take me until June, July, and then July, August will be set aside for polishing Once Upon a Dream, which I'm kind of excited about. I'm hoping to read the first couple chapters on stream when I do the final polish of them. It'll be a nice little preview of an upcoming series. Those won't start publishing until, so 2023 is going to be the third trilogy in the Celestial Serenade, Soul of the Sun, and then 2024 is when Once Upon a Dream is going to start publishing. So it'll be cool to do a sort of early preview of what that's going to look like. You can sort of see the difference between the stuff that I'm writing raw and the polished the polished stuff that I'm sending out to people. So yeah, that kind of covers my writing goals for the first half of the year. I do also I plan to finish editing the first Eternity's Empire book, hopefully sometime in May, which means that around June time, I'm going to be starting a brand new series. I believe that I tentatively have titled the series Everyone's Child. That's a working title. It is subject to change if I think of something I like better. Everyone's Child is a fantasy, high fantasy series. It's going to be following up so once I finish publishing Eternity's Empire, those publishing slots will be taken up by Everyone's Child. New series, much excite? Yes, brand new series. And the plan is, sorry, that clap may have been loud, but I got excited. The plan is I'm actually going to do some of the world building and character building on stream. So I'm actually going to show you guys my process of going through and putting together who my main characters are, what the world is that this is taking place in, and how I put together my chapter outline and all that. So you'll actually get to see a lot of that early process, which is something that I haven't gotten to do on stream before. So I'm going to be filling out my OneNote on stream. There'll be a lot of muttering to myself about who I want people to be and what I want things to look like. Always interested in how other people do the world building stuff. Yeah, I'm super excited about it. I'm a little nervous because I'm used to just kind of doing that all behind closed doors and muttering to myself and doing whatever. But so hopefully in June and July, we're going to have some streams that are going to be pure world building streams and doing a lot of that early part of the process. And then you'll get to see me actually take that information that I did on stream and write the book on stream as well. And since I'm going to be doing a late draft polish for Vinyl Stencil, thank you so much for the resub and for the boop. How are you today? What are you up to? Also, you were saying something about you just got a new influx of dresses. Have you figured out what you're gonna do with all those dresses? Because it sounds like there's a lot. Gotta talk to yourself. We call that getting expert advice. Yeah, I told my husband the one day when he came home, I was like, I had a meeting with myself about what was going to be in this scene. And he's like, yeah, I can just imagine you talking through that. And I was like, yeah, that's what happened. I did it out loud. That's why I said I had a meeting with myself. Just chilling today. Nice. I know that midweek is your day off, so I hope that you're enjoying it. There was a shop closing down, so we acquired probably 75 dresses. That's a lot of dresses. I hope they're all in good condition. Like, I hope they don't need a lot of, like, TLC to bring them up to par. Rather have a meeting with myself instead of the ones I actually have. Yeah. I'm tough enough to have a meeting with. I don't want other people involved. I'll have to send some of our old stock home to their consigners. Oh. But I guess if it's older stock, I mean, you assume that if a dress doesn't... I assume if a dress doesn't sell after a certain amount of time, that it probably just isn't gonna sell. Sadly. It makes me sad to think of the dresses not getting sold, but... Brand new sample wedding dresses, so minimal wear and tear. Nice! Oh, that's a relief, because if it was 75 dresses that needed a lot, that would be... I imagine that would be not ideal. Although I guess maybe you wouldn't have taken that many dresses if they needed, like, a lot of stuff. For those that don't know, Vinyl runs a dress shop with, I believe, her sister. And also, she makes totally amazing art on stream. This one is based on the Across the Void cover art for Celestial Serenade, and I adore it. The one for book 1 is out in the living room because you can't have too many dragons. Yeah, no, I couldn't take on that much responsibility. Yeah. Thank you, Ghost, for shouting out Vinyl. I appreciate it. Yeah, so Vinyl knows way more about taking care of dresses and that sort of thing than I do, but I'm always fascinated to hear her talk about it because I think people have this idea that you just hang it on a hanger and that's where it ends, but I know that there's a lot more involved in the process. I wish balls were still a thing. I would love to dress up more often and go dancing. Yeah, I haven't worn a really nice dress since my brother's wedding, which was pre-COVID, post-England, so I want to say 2016? 2015? It's been a while. Pre-COVID, post-England doesn't mean much for many of you, but my husband can place the time period. So yeah, brand new project. It's a fantasy. Everyone's Child is a... Oh yeah, that's right. We hung out with Minty. That was the last time we hung out with Minty as well. Once we had a bunch of ladies from an accounting firm that all bought dresses from us for a ball. Nice. Yeah, I mean, if you work for like a big fancy company, they do sometimes throw parties and stuff like that. Yeah, so brand new project, hopefully doing a lot of that on stream. It is a fantasy, so for anyone who has read or eyeballed the Eternity's Empire series, it is a space opera. It's sort of, I like to describe it as magical girls in space. It's very heavily mythologically inspired, but it is also very heavily Sailor Moon inspired. Definitely one of my big inspirations. It's a space opera. It involves a galactic empire at war, you know, galactic rebels, that sort of thing. It's a interesting mix of science and magic. It's very light on the science, very heavy on the imagination. Hence, space opera. It focuses very heavily on the characters in a vast and sweeping setting. But Everyone's Child is going to be a high fantasy. It's going to have all of the sort of high fantasy tropes of dwarves and elves and magic. What I can tell you, sort of a vague outline of the hook for the plot is that there is a young protege who has appeared. People think that she is part of a prophecy relating to the All-Mother Goddess, and possibly reviving the All-Mother Goddess in some form or fashion. People have been waiting for this prophecy to be fulfilled for a long time. And there are two factions who are keeping an eye out for this prophecy because one wants to help the prophecy be fulfilled and one wants to prevent it from being fulfilled. So that is sort of what that project is going to be about. I'm going to be doing as much of it on stream as I can get away with without doing too many spoilers. So that's going to be coming around June, July. So something to hopefully look forward to after many months of editing, to get a little bit more excitement going on. Sounds like Jupiter Ascending. It is nothing like Jupiter Ascending. I don't know why you even think that, because in my brain it's so different. Also, Jupiter Ascending was another crap movie. More space opera, yes. I love space operas, so, and there's not enough of them. So I definitely, I'm never afraid to write another space opera. So yeah, that takes us through what's going on with writing for the first half of the year. And since you guys are excited about that, look, I really liked things about Jupiter Ascending. It was gorgeous. It was clearly, it had this huge put together world, but then they didn't do anything Like, nothing. I kept waiting for something to happen in that movie, and just nothing happened. Nothing changed. But it's a very interesting movie, very interesting concept and setting. Again, if like what you like, I just won't get on that train. Yes, absolutely. That is something that would have made an amazing like TV show, or like a series of like 2-hour like shorts across like a week. They definitely did not give themselves enough time to fully explore that story. Absolutely. 100% would have been behind like TV show. Shagraz! Hello, how are you? What are you up to? I've been known to like garbage. I'm a trash panda. I mean, hey, again, like what you like. I'm not, if I say, oh, I didn't like that, it was bad, that's 100% my opinion, and I can own the fact that that's my opinion. And if you like it, again, it's easy to throw in my face that I like the Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd. So clearly I'm not like a connoisseur of fine arts or anything. I was just disappointed in Jupiter Ascending because it had so many great things about it, and then it just felt like it didn't do anything. And I was like, can you please just do something? Thanks. Yes, I remember showing you the original Judge Dredd, and I think I showed it to Flutter as well, because any excuse to watch that movie. It's like eating a whole cake for dinner. You know that you shouldn't do it, but you do it, and it feels so good, and you're like, yeah, I want to do that again. That's watching the Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd. It's like my treat to myself. Also, another movie that I really like in the same vein, Escape from New York. It's like eating cake for dinner. And Big Trouble in Little China. Just saying. Kurt Russell movies, man. So now I should talk about the even bigger things that are happening this year. Those are the projects that are underway. We should talk about my publishing goals for the year. Also, I'm gonna sneeze again, potentially. Hooray. So, big news, and I guess I should actually do some screen capture for this. Oh gosh, guys, sorry. Let me just bring it up on the screen. Turn my display capture on, and for a hot second, I'm going to turn off my face cam. Oops, that's not the one I want you to see. That's the one I want you to see. This came out in February. My first release of the year. This is Duality. Thank you for the blessing. Hey, Kiki. My female character is pregnant, and her parents find out that she's living a rich life, and they are trying to get money out of her. Oh no! That sounds awful for your main character, but great for drama. This came out, this came out in February. This is the 4th book in the Celestial Serenade, which I started publishing last year. The first trilogy, Symphony of the Stars, is all available, as you can see. And then the second story arc is happening this year. So this happened in February. Very excited about it. You can see the maps that I made. There is the star map, and there is the land map that goes with this particular series. So if you're interested, I believe actually if you do the new release command, it will still take you to this fine place here, or you can easily click on over to the first book, The End of All Things, and check that out. And if you prefer to get that big trilogy, all in one glorious 700-page book. You can get that over there, Symphony of the Stars. It's a big boy as well. Need the next one? Well, we'll be talking about that in a moment. My next big release, let me flip pages here so I can remember. The next big release that we have, that I have coming up for you guys, is actually, I scratched it and forgot the day. It's actually going to be April 18th. You can see there on the calendar. And that is going to be The War for Freedom, the 7th book, the penultimate book in the Eternity's Empire series. Can I turn my music down by like 80%? I can turn it down. I can turn it down a bit. Is that good, Shagraz? Do you like that better? Why is Dameron being a sourpuss? Because I'm not working on his story and he's angry about it. Welcome to my life. Love the cover for Duality. It is gorgeous. Or this one as well, the Symphony of the Stars. This is gorgeous too. I basically just said to my cover artist that I wanted a dragon constellation. And she was like, okay, here's this. Yeah, gorgeous. You left us on a cliffhanger? That isn't even the biggest cliffhanger in that series, just saying. All the covers have been gorgeous? Yes. My cover artist is amazing. I love her. Molly Phipps of We Got You Covered. I'll shout her out a bit later. She is amazing. But here in April coming up, I haven't finalized this cover yet. So I do apologize. It's gonna be a little bit, here you have a little behind the scenes look at what I got going on. Hopefully this isn't gonna crash my computer. Well, we're talking about some new covers right now. So I did this on stream, if it'll load. We have The War for Freedom. Just move my display capture down a tiny bit here. The War for Freedom, this is coming out April 18th. This is the penultimate book in the Eternity's Empire series. It is written, it is edited, it has been through my betas, it has been polished. All it needs is to be formatted. This is not quite the final version of the cover. I need to come in here and do a few touch-ups on the interior portion here. I have some final finishing to do on this. I'm hopefully going to be doing that on Monday, this upcoming Monday, so that I can do the final reveal in the Discord. Morathnon, it's going well. How are you? I believe it would be evening for you since it is morning for me. Ashley Robin, hello. How are you? What are you up to? I haven't seen you in a while. I am inspired. Ooh, I like it when vinyl is inspired. When vinyl is inspired, she always makes amazing art. So yeah, this is mostly what the cover for The War for Freedom is going to look like. That's coming out on April 18th. It feels really amazing. It's a big one because it's the next to last book. Not doing great. What? So it should be, actually haven't made a command for that one yet. That seems wrong. But if you do new release, it should pop up the link to the Symphony of the Stars. Ashley, I hope that you are doing better as well. If there's anything you need to talk about, please feel free. You can always message me, or if you feel like you want to talk about something in the chat, you absolutely can. This is a safe space, and I want people to feel like they can chat, but I also don't want you to feel obligated. hopefully we can just hang out, provide a nice chill spot for you to hang out. My family and friends say I was having a manic episode. Well, I hope that you are able to get the help that you need. And I hope that your family and friends are being supportive of you as well at your time of need. So yeah, that is that. Some of you might remember me fighting with this on stream for about 3 hours. As I said, it's not quite finalized, but it will be finalized next week. The pre-order will hopefully go up sometime next week, and I will of course update my links on Discord and here on the stream. So that is something to look forward to. So I can put my screen back properly. And then that brings us to June is when my next release will be, and that will be the next book in the Celestial Serenade, and I have a nice special thing to share with you guys. I don't want to spoil it, so I don't have a specific release date for this yet, just the month. It will be in June. But I do have the cover for the next book in the Celestial Serenade series, Unity. Again, made by the fabulous Molly Phipps. I just got this at the beginning of the week. No, people are not being understanding. Ashley, I'm really sorry to hear that. I know that one of the worst things when you're dealing with stuff like this is when your family is not supportive and not understanding. I had a feeling when you were talking about it that perhaps it was because your family is not being supportive. I'm really sorry to hear that. Part of the reason I'm in this mess, people won't leave me alone. I hope that their hearts are in the right place. I hope that they're trying. I hope that they at least believe that they're trying to do the best, even if it would be better for them to just, stay out of it. I hope that they will back off and let you get the help that you need. Yeah, it's 3 times as hard to go through something if your family is not being supportive about it. Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know why I decided to write my 3 books by hand. Oh gosh, Kiki. Writing by hand can be super satisfying and feel super good, but it does have challenges. Their family is being fine, but your friend on the other hand. Okay. Well, hopefully your family will help you if need be. It sucks if it's someone that you consider a good friend and they're not helping. Just know that we love you and we're thinking of you and we're sending you good thoughts. And we're here if you need to talk. If you need someone to listen. I feel bad that I'm talking about commercial stuff right now. It's not a good transition. But yeah, just real talk. I will be sending good thoughts your way. Using a legal pad and have 12 of it. That's a good call. That's a good call because you probably use quite a lot of it for a full novel. June is a light month, so I should be able to tear through it. Every writer wants to hear that people are ready to tear through their work. AJ, hello! How are you? What are you up to? He hears me tossing and turning all night with anxiety, and he still bitches that he hasn't gotten any sleep. Oh, that's very selfish. Sometimes when people are going through a hard time, what they really just need is a little sympathy and understanding, because it's not like they're enjoying going through that anxiety. Peter, hello! How are you? How are you doing? You guys are just in time because I'm about to show you the new cover for my release that's coming up in June, the fifth book in the Celestial Serenade, Unity. This is the first time I'm showing this to anyone outside of a few select people who may have been in my house when the proof was sent. Wink, wink. Does it have a crate? It has some... It actually does look like it might have some crates in the background here. I'm looking at it. The fifth book in the trilogy, yes. Well, the fifth book in the series. It's the second book in the second trilogy. It's complicated. It's complurnicated. Let me turn my face off so that you guys can see it. Here it is in all its glory. Let me get ever so slightly smaller so it fits. I'm really dang happy with how this came out, just so you guys know. I sent a description to my cover artist and I was like, let me know if you don't think that that's like a thing we can do. And she sent this back and I was like, damn, this boy, let's just say this boy. So this is going out in June. I'm super happy with this cover. It might be my favorite or second favorite cover in the whole series. Super happy with it. It was just exactly what I had in my head when I sent the description to my cover artist, and she just expertly captured it. So I'm super excited about that. That's going to happen in June. Let me catch up a little bit on chat. Not being able to sleep from anxiety is the worst. Yeah, I've struggled with sleep on and off my whole life, and it's not great. Thankfully, my boyfriend and my family have been willing to help me out. That's good, Ashley. I'm glad that you do have people that you can rely on and trust, because it's very hard to have to face that sort of thing on your own. Peter, I've got a wild headache, but I'm doing better than I have been. Well, I hope that headache fucks off, frankly. But I'm glad to hear that you've been doing better. I know you've been going through a lot as well, Peter. I really hope that things are looking up for you. That guy looks handsome, right? Look at this boy. Kudos to you if you can guess the two characters that are on this cover. I'm not gonna say. That'll just be for people who have read the series. Yeah, I'm just super happy about how they both look. Robert Pattinson plays this guy in the movie. People that don't suffer from anxiety don't understand that we can't just switch it off. Like, real talk, I think I was having this conversation with Flutter the other day, and I was saying sometimes I wonder what it's like to just be able to like go out of your house and do a thing and not like think about it. Or like I've been gearing up to like change this hardware in my computer, and I have like nightmares about it, and I break out in sweats, and it's like because like my whole business is digital, and if something goes wrong, and I just spend like hours concocting the worst case scenarios, and like logically I tell myself like, don't think about this stuff, what are you doing? But it's like, you know, it just crops up and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, I've woken up in the middle of the night with my heart pounding and just sweat, you know, pouring down the back of my neck, and been like, what is even happening right now? And it sucks. And I don't have any kind of medication for anxiety. You know, I've never, you know, been told that I need something like that. But even just that level of anxiety to me is sometimes, not necessarily debilitating, but it definitely makes me think like, my gosh, people who need medication for this, they definitely need like medication for this, because it's awful. And you know, I would never judge anyone for needing help with that. It's brutal. And that my experience, I know my experience is just minimal. And I know there are people that have it way worse than me, and I have nothing but respect, because the little bit of anxiety that I've experienced in my life, and that I struggle with, you know, it's enough for me to realize, hey, this is not an easy thing. Being diagnosed was relief, and being on meds makes it manageable. I've heard a lot of people say that, and I know it can sometimes be a struggle to get on the right medication. I've talked to a lot of people who have had to try several different types of meds before they find one that works for them, but it's so worth it when you can get on something and you can feel like you can go about your day without constantly being, held back by whatever your brain is doing. I woke up with my heart pounding 2 days ago and went to the hospital. Oh no. Ashley, I'm so sorry. I might have manic depressive disorder. I hope that they can find the answer for you. I hope that you don't have to wait too long. Because again, I know that the process of diagnosis is the hardest. Like, it can take a long time for some people. But I hope it doesn't take a long time for you. I hope that they're able to find what you need, get you what you need so that you can feel like you're going back to normal. Neo, hello. How are you? We're just having some real talk here. Is it Peter and Girl Peter? I can neither confirm nor deny. Woman Peter. Woman Peter and Man Peter. My anxiety was so bad that I drank daily and people were mad at me because I've been unable to stop. If it's your coping mechanism, it's hard, right? Sometimes you have to do what you have to do to get through, and hopefully you'll be able to get a diagnosis and get the medication you need. My brain is like a radio station. Without meds, it's not tuned, just static. With the meds, there's music with occasional static. That makes sense. I know a couple of people. I know I'm having this conversation with the cover on the background. I just want enough people to be able to see the cover. I can bring that back up. I can bring that back up in a bit. But yeah, just. I know people who are going through the whole process right now of getting on medication for depression, things like ADHD, that kind of thing. It can be a huge pain in the ass to get a proper diagnosis and find the medications that work for you. But if you need something like that, you need it. And no judgment, like, it's just how your brain works, and everyone's brain works differently, and getting the help for your brain so that you can get through your day and feel good and feel like you're doing the things that you want to do and you're not struggling all the time, that's important. So real talk to anyone who's going through that, I'm here for you. If you ever need to talk, I'm rooting for you. I'm hoping for the best for you. And don't let anyone make you feel bad for needing help or any of that kind of stuff. And definitely, even though it might be hard, try and stick it out. Try and get that medication that works best for you, because it will make a big difference, and you deserve to feel good and feel happy. Absolutely. You can't trust a single radio presenter. How's it going for me? It's going pretty good. I'm on break this week. I'm not writing. Just kind of chilling. We're talking about what I'm up to this year, and what I'm hoping to be up to more this year. We just talked about releases for the next 4 months. That takes us through the first half of the year. I'm super excited about it. I'm super excited to get those covers finalized and uploaded and share them with people. I love you guys so much. I'm crying. Well, I'm just glad that we can be here for you, Ashley, that we can support you. Oh, thank you so much. That's so sweet of you, Ashley. I'm just glad that we can be here to give you a place where you can talk to people who are here to support you and listen to you and understand. like I said, my experience with anxiety is much different. It's actually mostly related to, now I kind of know this. I haven't known this for a long time, but I actually have what's called Graves' disease. I have an overactive thyroid, and one of the side effects, one of the symptoms is that I will often feel anxious, and sometimes get like heart pounding and those like weird anxiety attacks that don't seem related to anything. So my anxiety comes from that. It's not the same kind of anxiety as like needing medication because my brain is causing I mean, it's hormonal, but it's not the same. And I've never needed to go through that whole diagnosis process and get medication, like I said. So I know that my experience is small compared to things that like Minty's talking about and things that Ashley's talking about. But it's just enough experience for me to appreciate and respect people who have to deal with that. And if anyone ever comes to you and is talking about, you know, struggling with those sort of things, please be there for them. Please support them. They don't want to be a nervous wreck all the time or not be able to focus. Like, it's just reality for them. And so try to listen, try to understand, even if it's not your experience, and just, you know, be that shoulder for them to get back on their feet. So, and, you know, it was interesting when my doctor called me to tell me that they had found out that I had an overactive thyroid. And she was like, do you ever find that you're anxious? And I was like, well, you don't know me at all, because I'm always anxious. I'm like, the people who know me are just like, yeah, that's like you in a nutshell. And it turns out that it's just because, my immune system attacks my thyroid, and my thyroid produces an extra hormone. It basically, it's that metabolism hormone, right? So when I don't need that and it's active, it just makes me feel anxious. Serious talk today. If I go down this path, I will feel bad again. No worries, Neil. We're not, the whole stream isn't necessarily real talk. We're just having a moment because someone needed some support. And you know me, when someone needs some support, I want to be there for them. I want to make sure that they know that this is a place where they can go to be understood. So absolutely. Our husband is here. Our husband is here. I was going to ask how you were. I saw your tweet about taking a break. I'm doing great. I'm enjoying the break. I talked about at the beginning of stream, so I won't go into it too much. I am really anxious about having to install some new hardware in my computer. I'm trying not to freak out about that too much. But aside from that, I am making sure that I take some time off. I'm not thinking too hard about writing. I'm just sort of relaxing. There's some pictures in the Discord of the puzzle that I'm doing, so I'm pretty chill personally. This is a serious talk. I don't want to seem like I'm being rude. No worries, Peter. Like, you're fine. You're fine. How come everything Will Smith does is memorable or memeable? Because I guess that's the society we live in. Everything's a meme now. Going to the vet tomorrow. My dog needs to clean her teeth. Well, good luck. I hope it's a good, easy appointment for your doggo. I know dogs aren't the biggest fan of the vet, so I hope it's as stress-free as possible for doggo. So that pretty much covers, I know this stream has been all over the place, but that's to be expected when it's me talking about anything. That pretty much covers what I have been up to for the first 3 months of the year and what I'm hoping to get up to for the next 3 months of the year. So I have one release that I've done already this year. I have 2 releases coming up in the next 3 months. We have April and we have June. Look forward to that. I am planning a special stream. I need to go recruiting and see who's going to be on it. I am planning a special stream for the release of The War for Freedom, the Next Eternity's Empire book. It's going to be called Myth Truths. And I am basically going to be compiling a list of mythological stories. Some of them will be real, some of them will be fake, and the participants in the stream will have to decide if it was myth truth or myth false. So we will see how that goes. I haven't started putting it together yet, but I'm really excited about the format. I think it's going to be totally bonkers. There's some really crazy things that happen in mythology, and I'm going to be drawing on all of the mythologies that you see in Eternity's Empire. So that's going to be happening probably the week of April 18th. I'm not entirely sure when we'll get people together for that, but myth true or myth stakes, I like that. So it's gonna be interesting. It was actually suggested, Flutter suggested this actually at the end of the last stream, the Make Your OTP stream. And I've been thinking a lot about like the format I want to use, and I'm super excited to start going through notes and putting it together. So look forward to that. Sometime in April. I'm gonna see Cauliflumps wasn't able to make it to the Make Your OTP, so I want to see if we can maybe get Cauliflumps for the Myth Truths stream, and we'll see who all is around for that, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm missing some things in chat. Everything has to become a meme. I mean, yeah, we do seem to just think and act in memes these days. I wrote a short story about my mom at my writing class today. I quite liked it, so I'm going to type it up and try to post it somewhere. That's awesome. Peter, if you post it somewhere online and you want to share a link in the Discord, please feel free to share a link in the Discord. She's old, so it stresses me a lot. Yeah, I can understand that, Neo, because unfortunately you can't sit down and explain to your dog that she just needs her teeth cleaned, right? But I'm sure with a lot of pets and the support of her human that she'll be able to get through it. Well, I've already talked to a few people about it, Peter. So there might not be space for this particular stream, but if you're interested in being on one of my future promo streams, I will definitely keep that in mind. I'd be so down to play that. I've been doing a lot of research on Celtic and Viking mythology. Yeah, well, I'm thinking of setting it up. I don't know if I'll do it like a Jeopardy style, but I'm thinking of setting it up as a game show style so that chat could play as well. So everyone could basically like keep their own individual score if they wanted to, and then you can see how you stack up to the people who are on stream. Because I want chat to be able to participate as well. I haven't finalized the format. I have to start going through and compiling the list of myths, true and false. But I'm really looking forward to it. That's one of the things I'm going to jump into after my break. And if people like it, there is at least one more Eternity's Empire book coming out, so I could do it. We could do a second round of it. Just saying. So keep an eye on the Discord for when that will actually be happening. Like I said, I have to reach out to some people on the back end and see who's available for it and who is interested in wanting to do that. But I'm really excited about it. And that covers writing and publishing for the first 6 months. I do have some nebulous plans for the second half of the year. I don't know that I want to spend too much time talking about them because everything is subject to change based on whether or not I get things done in the next 6 months. You should expect to see the final book in the Eternity's Empire series, The Empire of Eternity, should be going out in August. I do releases every other month, so if there's a book coming out in June, the next one will be in August. So theoretically, in August, we will see the final book in the Eternity's Empire series. I just have to get that edited up here in April, May, and get that sent off to my beta readers. And hopefully they'll get back to me sometime around the beginning of July. I'm trying to give them enough time to read through that and let me know if it needs any major changes. And then hopefully I'll have it in your hands in August. I'm super excited about that because I really enjoyed writing the ending, and I can't wait for other people to know it so that I can talk about it. And then, of course, in October, we will have Harmony, the 6th book in the Celestial Serenade, coming out as well. I don't have a surprise cover for that one yet because I don't even actually know what's going to be on that cover yet. But that will be coming out in October, finishing off the 2nd story arc in the Celestial Serenade. And I can promise you that there will be a satisfying ending at the end of book 6 because there is a time jump between book 6 and book 7. I've made no secret of that. So October, it's like a wedding gift. Yeah, you could totally totally read my book on your honeymoon. I would be cool with that. So yeah, I do promise that there is a satisfying conclusion to the story arc because there is a time jump between books 6 and 7. Books 7, 8, and 9 are already written, edited, and polished. So I can promise that you will get those next year. The story may have grown another story arc that isn't written. There may actually end up being a books 10, 11, and 12 to the Celestial Serenade, but those have not yet been written. So stay tuned for more news on that. In the future. But yeah, and then in December, I will be releasing the 2nd Celestial Serenade box set, the big boy 700-page book that covers the second 3 books in the trilogy, the original 2nd book in the trilogy, Symphony of the Stars. That will be out in December, sort of like my Christmas gift to everybody. Just one last hurrah for the year. And then, of course, next year will be Soul of the Sun, the original last book in the Celestial Serenade. Asterisk, possibly not the last book. I don't know if I actually told this story on stream, but I was polishing off the last book, book 9, and I came up with an idea, and I actually wrote it down in last year's day planner, for a potential other series, like three books that involve something that sort of didn't come up through the course of the other books. And I was like, I can't turn it into a 4th book because I can't turn it into a 4th trilogy because I'll never think of another name that follows the naming scheme, right? Because it's Symphony of the Stars, Song of the Spheres, and Soul of the Sun. So it's like musical term of the spatial celestial body thing. And I was like, I'll never come up with another one. And then just sort of out of the blue as I was making my lunch, because this is how writer brains work, my brain was like, hey, what about Sonata of the Satellites? And I was like, fuck you, brain. So that might happen. I'm just putting that out there. Revenge of the Sith. Is revenge a musical term? No, my brain just literally filled in the blanks, and I was like, I think I can show you guys this because it's a little bit funny. Because this is my document where I keep all of my different stories. So you can see here that my entire notes for Sonata of the Satellites is how dare you. This is how I leave notes for myself. This was supposed to be the end, and now there's potentially this. This is what it's like to have entire worlds in your brain is sometimes they are just like, hey, but what if also, and then you're like, how dare you? How very dare you do this to me, brain? And yeah, so that's a thing. That's a thing for that's a problem for future me. Definitely not a problem for current me. But yeah, so that's just a little preview of what all's going on in my brain. For anyone who missed it, I am hoping around June, July to start a brand new project called Everyone's Child. It will be a fantasy series. It will be taking the place of Eternity's Empire in like my writing / publishing schedule. So I'm hoping to do some world building on stream. I'm hoping to do some initial outlining on stream. I'm hoping to basically just show a whole bunch of that process that I haven't been able to really go through yet. And to go through it with the first book in the series where it's much less prone to being spoilery. So you guys can sort of just see my whole process out on display. I'm hoping to start that in June. I don't have a specific timeline for it yet because I have to wrap up Eternity's Empire first. And as I said, I'm going to be hopefully doing that in April, May. So fingers crossed. It's hard to do the world building stuff on stream with the Auravalia Chronicles just because I am so deep in that series. It's hard to talk too much about what I'm developing for the new books without going into spoilers for the books that I've already written. So it'll be really nice to sort of have a blank slate and start from scratch and just sort of show everyone the raw and not have to worry too much about like what's already established lore and letting too much out of the bag and throwing too much information out there in the middle of something. So I'm really looking forward to that. Present Megan really being like, fuck your shit, future Megan. Look, it's not my fault that my characters were like, here's a perfectly formed story for something that you weren't planning on writing. I feel like I didn't make that decision. Some other part of my brain made that decision. I just don't feel like it's my responsibility right now. It'll be future Megan's responsibility. Oh, I think I was just repeating information about the new series Minty, and I think you heard most of that already before. I didn't really say anything new about it, so don't worry. No ultra secrets. I'm gonna take a quick AFK bio break. But when I come back, we can have like all of the other tangents. Like if you guys want to know what tea I've been drinking lately, or, you know, whatever you guys kind of want to talk about for the next 20 or so minutes. Because that was pretty much all I had really planned to talk about was the 6 months. That's the project update. That's how things are going. The state of the projects and what you can expect from them for the next 6 months. It was a very 2-hour long-winded way of saying I'm writing and editing and stuff is happening. I would love to know the tea. Can you give us a clue before you go? Oh, well, right now I'm actually drinking coffee. So what I'm currently drinking is just mocha coffee. But the Dollar Tea Club comes with this nice little, passport, I guess, pamphlet that you can write all your tea tasting notes in. So I have a few that I've written down for that, and I have a few David's Tea teas that I have been drinking recently. Is it coffee? It is coffee, Peter. Good guess. It's in my Ursula mug because, as we've established, I'm a huge Ursula fan. I had that thing and I misplaced it and now it's gone forever. Yeah, I actually tried a bunch of teas and forgot to write them down, so I don't think I have them in the right months. I just kind of guessed what month. But I've started writing them down. I haven't gone all the way through any of my samples yet. But yeah, let me pop AFK quick. If people want me to talk about tea, I can talk about tea for 20 or 30 minutes before we do a raid. Or if anyone has any questions that are raiding related, things that they would like to know that I haven't necessarily covered in the first couple tangents here on the stream, absolutely can talk about that kind of stuff. I lose so many things because I'm disorganized. I mean, things just disappear onto my desk and then I find them like 4 months later. But, you know, it's a thing. All right, I will BRB. Prepare your questions. I have returned. My coffee is once again hot, so I can finish it off here. I'm just gonna put my beautiful day planner back on the shelf over here. It's muffin time. So if anyone's curious about like what teas I've been drinking lately, I'm still kind of working my way through my last David's Tea box. So the way the David's Tea subscription box worked was they basically would send out, they sent out 4 boxes throughout the year and it was seasonal, right? So the first box that I got was the summer teas, and then I got the fall teas, the winter teas, and my last one was the spring teas. Probably my favorite was the fall box, just because my palate is really suited towards those warm, spicy teas. It's tea talk time. People wanted some tea talk, so we're gonna do it. I really like the chai teas and like all of those things that we associate with fall, like the rich spices, the teas that are kind of in layers, you know, your pumpkin teas, your pumpkin chais, your pumpkin Earl Grey, like all that kind of stuff. I would pay $15 a month on Patreon for Megan and Ghost Tea Talk podcast. Ghost doesn't drink much tea. Ghost didn't drink any tea before me. But I definitely could probably do, actually, if we want a Tea Talk podcast, it would probably be me and Vinyl. Because I know Vinyl got to actually see and experience my tea collection while she was here, and I remember asking what are your favorite types of teas, and I introduced her to the Red Earl, which is an Earl Grey type tea, but it uses rooibos as its base instead of black tea. So yeah, I actually have I think 5 or 6 different variations of Earl Grey, including Earl Grey in my house. So yeah, what happened was when David's Tea went, so when the pandemic hit, David's Tea had kind of realized that they overextended themselves a bit. And they pulled out of a lot of their physical locations and went to mostly online only, which has suited them in terms of their tea, but not so much in terms of their merch, I would say. Megan and Final podcast with Flutter coming in at the end to discuss wine. It could happen. It could happen, potentially. I'm glad you liked it, Vinyl. I ended up using the second steep of it after you left, and I remembered how enjoyable and endearing that tea is. But so yeah, what happened was David's Tea pulled out of a lot of their physical locations and moved to online only, and there was a Canadian company that came in their place to take up a lot of their old stores called Tea Kettle. I believe it's just capital T and then Kettle. And they took up the retail spaces for David's Tea. And so when Flutter visited back in October, we popped in there and got to smell a lot of their teas. And I purchased a few. I got a peaches and cream, which is absolutely amazing. I got a orange, I think it was an orange creamsicle, type tea, which is also really amazing. And I got the Red Earl because I can't resist Earl Greys. And so a few, I mean, it was hard not to walk away with every time I walk into a tea store, it's hard not to walk away with 10. But yeah, I like those really rich, I like stuff that has a sort of rich black tea base and then either a fruity mix or a spicy mix to it. I do also really like summer teas. Summer teas tend to be your herbal blends where there's not really much tea in it, but it's mostly just fruit. I like hibiscus. I think it works really well in summer teas to bring out fruity flavors. So those tend to be summer and fall tend to be my two biggest tea palettes. I'm not really into the winter flavors where it tends to be a lot of mint, because I'm not a big fan of mint, or the more David's Tea sent a sample of their Mama's Little Helper in their Christmas tea box, and it's just not if I was sick I would drink it, but it's not really, it's more like a herbal remedy than a day-to-day tea because it's designed to open your sinuses. So I don't really drink a lot of those kinds of teas. I don't really like minty stuff. Ghost made me a mojito during his 24-hour stream, and I was put the minimum amount of mint in it, please. 50 Shades of Earl Grey hot. Seriously, though. I'm gonna get there someday. Last fall, I was in Corning, New York with friends, and we found coffee and tea shop. We walked out with a lot of coffee and tea. Yeah, it's hard for me to go tea shopping and not come home with 10 different teas. Megan doesn't like mint tea. Thing is, if it's mint and chocolate, I'm on that train, but if it's anything else, like, and I can handle a small amount of, like, because every year there's a candy cane tea. And, yeah, you get out that Vinyl evil laugh. Vinyl's most evil of laughs. I can handle a little bit of like candy cane tea at Christmas time, but I don't want mint in everything. I'm not a huge, and I like the concept of gingerbread tea, but I don't think I've ever had a gingerbread tea that actually tasted like gingerbread to me. Ginger is one of those flavors where it's either extremely overwhelming and it's all you taste, or it's lost in everything else that you've put in it. And I find that when I get gingerbread teas, they often taste like caramel, like loaf bread, but they don't taste like gingerbread. And I've tried many, many gingerbread teas. S'mores with mint chocolate is on the next level. Oh, Roaming Witch. That does sound amazing. That sounds absolutely amazing. Tea is a wild idea. It's like, get that plant, cut it up, put it in hot water, and see what happens. It's like that scene in Avatar: The Last Airbender where what's his face? Zuko is trying to make tea, and his uncle is like, "This is just hot leaf water," and he's like, "Isn't all tea just hot leaf water?" And it's like the difference between someone who's just like a casual tea drinker and someone who's like serious about tea. Bullet mash it, put it in a stew. Tea is the soup of hot drinks. Or, you know, soup is just vegetable tea. Really. I get that others don't care for mint as much as I do. Calvin doesn't like mint. We tried to do mint in the herb garden last year without success. You have to be a little bit careful with growing mint because if it gets root, it'll grow like a weed. We have some wild mint growing in the backyard. You can make potato skin tea. I mean, I guess you could. I don't know how good it would taste. But I know Uncle Iroh is like my freaking spirit animal. Mint is like a weed. Yeah. Doing it in a pot. We've had mixed success with mint in a pot as well because we try to do it indoors. It can be, I think it just, if it gets started, it'll be really hardy. And if you can't get it started, then you can't get it started, right? But yeah, if you like mint, then like growing mint in a pot is like the best idea because you'll just always have fresh mint in the house. Apparently it tastes horrific, but you can do it. Just because you can do it doesn't always mean that you should. Let that lesson be learned. We did, so we did this past fall, we did, not fall, summer, we did, I think it was oregano, thyme, basil, and mint. And then we had 4 hot peppers. 2 of them were ghost pepper plants, and 2 of them were just more generic, like hot pepper. The peppers did really well. The herbs, the basil did pretty good. The oregano, not so much. And the mint was okay. But we learned a lot from this cycle of plants that I think if we start them again, which we will probably start again in another month or so, I think we've learned enough about the life cycle of them. Yeah, I think it's about time for us to start the herb garden again too, because I think I've learned enough about the cycle of them to know when to harvest in order to get good flavor. Because we tried to grow thyme and it just had like no flavor. So I think I've learned enough about the life cycle now. Also, I think we've learned not to put the plants outside because then they'll get bugs. Like that was the problem with the peppers. We tried to get them through the winter and they were just infected with every kind of bug. So I think we need to keep them as indoors this time. But I think we learned enough about the herbs from last year that I think I can get a good cycle of them this year. It's sort of a process. Gardening is definitely a learning process. Each time you lose a plant, you learn a little bit better how to keep it alive the next time. think I'm just going to end up with, just because he could do it doesn't mean he should have done it on my tombstone. But then you probably have died as you lived, right? Adventurous. Need more hot sauce. Especially after the hot sauce stream with Kali where you like rejected 2 of your own hot sauces. So I guess you do need to like restock. If you look at a glass of water, boom, hot sauce. If you dipped your finger in a glass of water, boom, hot sauce. Oh my goodness. This is why Ghost is the spiciest pepper, Browse. Yeah, so I think we definitely learned enough from last year's gardening to do this year's gardening better. And hopefully our goal is to get the peppers to last year round. We really want to be able to just carry them through, because we've learned enough about their life cycle that we know how to keep them from wilting. But the problem this past year was just that we had been putting them outside for the bees to pollinate, and they got bugs. And now we know that we don't even actually need the bees to pollinate them. They can just be wind pollinated by hand. So I think our goal is to get ghost peppers that last year round. This is why Ghost is our husband, and we are apparently communists. I don't know if communists share husbands, but I'm willing to lend my husband to the community a little bit. Hale's big image of Ghost on a projected screen. He has mixed feelings about when you do that. So yeah, I've still been working my way through my final David's Tea box, which was the spring box. It had a very interesting mix of different flavors. I would say they've been okay. They're not necessarily like my favorite teas. They had a milk oolong in there, which was very interesting. For anyone who's like, oh, that must have milk in it. It doesn't, actually. It's just oolong leaves. But apparently they leave them in the fields until quite late in the season. And they're called milk oolong. There's a whole big story about it, but they're called milk oolong because of the dew drops that come on them. It's supposed to be like the moon leaving like milky dew on the leaves. But it's just how late in the season they harvest them, and it has like a milky flavor, like a silky, sort of smooth, almost like drinking milk flavor. It's very interesting. I actually really like it. But I had a lot of moments where I like definitely looked it up because it said it didn't have milk in it, but I was like, why is it called milk oolong then? And then we were watching a Sorted video this past weekend where they were doing they were drinking a milk oolong kombucha, and Ghost was all like, oh, that must have milk in it. And I was like, no, actually, that's just the name of the tea. So yeah, that was really interesting. But I've had a couple of like chocolate and fruity flavored teas lately that just aren't quite hitting it for me. Either they're not fruity enough or they're not chocolatey enough. It's the perfect tea strikes a balance between all the flavors that are in it. And so when you taste them, you sort of get a mix, a blend of the flavors, but you don't necessarily have one star. I mean, if you want to have a star flavor in tea, like if you're drinking hibiscus splash, then you probably want the hibiscus to be a very prominent flavor. If you're drinking a ginger tea, you probably want ginger to be a very prominent flavor, and so on. But if you're drinking something that is, for example, like chocolate raspberry, you probably want it to taste like chocolate covered raspberries rather than like tasting like raspberry with a little bit of a chocolate aftertaste, or vice versa, chocolate with a tiny bit of a raspberry tang to it. and it can be really hard to strike that balance. So a lot of the like fruit and this, like, or chocolate and this teas that I've been drinking lately haven't really been doing it for me. I have had in the past some really good like chocolate fruity teas. I have a blueberry coconut tea that's really good from Desert Sage Natural that I really like. It basically tastes like a blueberry coconut smoothie. It's amazing. And there's also Stormy Night from David's Tea, which is only available around Halloween time. But again, it's like a chocolate coconut tea. It's super good, super creamy. Stuff like that I really like. But it has to, the blending, like the flavor has to blend. I ended up not being all that impressed with a lot of the matchas in the matcha box. I am still thinking about getting, like picking 1 or 2 matcha powders to have on hand and getting a couple of, because I do like matcha and I do sometimes like having a quick thing that I can put together a latte for it. But I probably won't go, like, I probably wouldn't do another like advent calendar because they just weren't that exciting. Flavored tea is so hit or miss. It really is. And like, I have a lot of hits in my collection for sure, but only like a handful of teas that I drink like all the time or that I keep on hand like all the time. Like my I have a maple oolong, which is really good as well. Just super super smooth, not too sweet, really well blended. Stuff like that. Like I really fell in love with the oat tea latte. It's supposed to taste like coffee, but it's just really really good from David's Tea. Their I guess it's oat milk latte is what it's called, but it's a tea. It's super good. I tend to stick with plain teas like English breakfast, orange pekoe, Assam, or very classic flavors like Earl Grey. Yeah, I sort of just collect whatever catches my fancy. I definitely like to have a few fruity flavors. Like I have a blueberry green tea that I really like from Republic of Tea that Wolf helped me acquire. And I have that peaches and cream from Tea Kettle that I really like. And I have things like my maple oolong is really good, or like the oat milk latte. But then some of my favorite teas are just like red rooibos is really good. Just plain red rooibos with possibly a little bit of vanilla added in, or vanilla honey, is really good. Buddha's Blend from David's Tea, again, it's just a green tea with I forget what type of flower blossoms in it. Not really a lot to it, but it's super chill, super zen. I love me just like a really good green tea. Kukicha tea is really really good Japanese green tea. It tastes a bit grassy, but I like it. Ghost hates it because it tastes like grass. I can't give him green tea, but I really like it. Genmacha tea is also really good. It's got some roasted rice in it to make the tea leaves go further. Again, it was a Japanese tea that sprung up after the war when they were trying to preserve tea leaves, and it just ended up being super good, and I kept it around. So yeah, having a nice, just a solid base of like plain tea. Like tea blends are great if you can find one that works for you, but like just having like a solid tea that you really like. And I do like chais. I've had some really good chai teas. I have a pumpkin chai I really like. Saigon chai from David's Tea, super good. But chais can be hit and miss too, right? Because it depends on how. I have a chai tea in the house that's just not really a good chai. And Flutter had bought it and she was like, I don't get it. I don't get why you like chai tea so much. And then I tried it and I was like, okay, this is just a bad chai. Like, you just need to try a different type until you find the one that you like. Yes, red rooibos. Yes, I love red rooibos. If you have Scottish breakfast tea, it'll be a deep fried sausage patty. It's getting harder to get good advent calendars lately. More and more they seem to be a product the company wants to get rid of at a high markup. Yeah, it does seem like that. Wintermute Live, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. We're talking about tea right now, but usually I write and or talk about writing. Today was just a Just Chatting project update. Good evening to you. Nice! I love a good tea as well. If you have a favorite, please share. So we're just talking about what type of teas we like. But yeah, I sort of got some of David's Tea's advent calendars as a like just get an idea, just to sort of like get an idea what they had on hand, and I definitely feel like I did that. But I definitely think I'm at a point in my tea journey where like I've tried enough teas to know like which areas I'm gonna enjoy and which areas to probably avoid. And so I probably just won't actually get as much enjoyment out of the advent calendars in the future as I used to, which sucks, but they did serve their purpose for me. So, you know. I was just gonna say genmatcha with the brown rice in it. Yes, it's not grassy at all. I really have a soft spot for kukicha, even though it does have that grassy flavor to it. It's just super sweet and super chill. It doesn't need anything done to it. You just heat it up and drink it, and it's super smooth. But I do love genmatcha. It's just, I don't know if I'm saying that right, if I'm saying it wrong and anyone wants to correct my pronunciations. I don't speak Japanese, but it's just super, super good. My go-to tea is Swedish mint. Yeah. Someone named Minty liking mint tea. I wonder. Grass tea, no thanks. Yeah, I offered Ghost matcha, and he was like, it's green. And I was like, oh yeah, all right. Love tea, also love writing and reading. Nice, well you're in the right place, because that's all the things that we do around here. I am on break from writing this week, but I did want to do a stream to catch everybody up on my projects, what I've got going on for the upcoming year, and now we're just sort of winding down with some tea chat, just chilling out. I will be back next week, hopefully Tuesday, with some more writing and editing streams. So for anyone who's like, when are the clicky clacks happening again? Next week, I promise. I tried a chai recently. My sister swore by it, and I tried it, and it tasted and felt like I was drinking sour milk with grated plants in it. Yeah, see, if it's not your type of spices, if you don't like those spices, then you just won't like that tea blend. Spirulina is a kind of famous blend, which is hard to overcook. Interesting. I don't know if I've had that kind. I've heard of it. I don't know if I've had that specific type of tea. That's good to note though too, right? Like if you try a tea and you don't like it because it's too acidic or too astringent or too bitter, you can always try that tea again with a different steep time. If it's a black tea, you can steep it for 2 or 3 minutes, or potentially even less depending on how much tea you're using, because black teas release a lot of flavor very quickly, and if you oversteep them, they'll get bitter. Green teas, you tend to steep at a slightly lower temperature, so if you've had a green tea that you didn't like, it's possible that you overheated it and singed the leaves. So if you have a kettle, if you have one that does different temperatures, you want to do green at 175 or 185. Or you can just, if you have a regular kettle that doesn't have the times like me because I'm a total tea snob, just stop it before it reaches the full boil. Give it about 30 seconds to cool down before you pour the water over your tea leaves. It can have a surprising effect on the taste. So if you have a tea that you don't like, it could potentially be the way you prepared it. But if you prepare it a different way the second time and you still don't like it, then you probably just don't like that tea. Rat Lord Allie, hello, how are you? What are you up to today? Yeah, we're having our little tea chat at the end of our writing chat. And I could go on at length about tea steeping and re-steeping. If you're using loose leaf teas, you can re-steep those and usually get a second cup out of it. You just steep the first one slightly less and then the second one slightly longer to get that extra flavor. Herbal tea blends that don't have any actual tea in them usually will only steep once unless you do an overnight cold steep in the fridge, because fruit gives away all its flavor right away. But teas hold a lot of flavor, and actually oolong teas, one of the really interesting things about them is they start out really like twisted and tiny. Like it looks like you're just putting a tiny little bit of it in your steeper. And they will unwind as they release their flavor. So if you finish your first steep while the leaves are just about half open, you've left enough that by the end of that second steep, the leaves will be fully open. It'll look like there's 3 times as much tea in your steeper. And that's how you know that the oolong has given all of its flavors, because it's completely unwound. There you go, a little fact. How are you? I'm doing great. I'm enjoying my break. Enjoying hanging out with you guys. Trying not to stress over having to put some new hardware into my computer, but we've had that story like 4 times. I hope you enjoyed. Did you sleep in, Allie, or is it just different time zone? We're on Pacific time, so. But if you slept in, grats, because sleeping in is great. You're a total tea snub. Great, then you can teach me how to be one. Absolutely. If you have any questions, Wintermute, let me know, because I will always talk tea. The only thing that feels a little bit gratuitous to me is having the kettle that does the different, that was kind of when I decided I was a tea snob, was when I got the kettle that could do the different, temperatures. Because I feel like that's not necessarily a normal thing for people to have. Also one look at my tea collection is probably enough to be like, okay, yeah, a tea person lives in this house. But I always thought when I grew up I'd like tea and would learn many different forms of tea, and now I'm grown up and I still don't like tea. I mean, if you don't like tea, you don't like tea. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it's about finding the right tea and just sticking with, like, Ghost has a handful of teas. He likes blueberry tea. He likes my apple cinnamon tea. He likes the pumpkin chai, and a few of the chocolatey. He really likes the dark chocolate chili chai from David's Tea, because it's a really sort of hot chocolatey flavored tea, and it has just a little bit of spicy chilies in it to make it feel really rich in flavor. But he won't drink a green tea. He won't drink a straight up like fruity tea. He's not, I mean, he'll try them, but he doesn't really like mint tea. There's an eggnog tea from David's that he's kind of okay with, but like he's just not really that into tea. So sometimes it's about finding the flavor that you really like and sticking with that tea. And if you only drink one tea, I think Flutter pretty much drinks Irish breakfast tea, and that's it almost exclusively. If you find tea that you like, and you stick with it, then great. And if you can't find a tea that you like, then you may as well not make yourself miserable. That's okay, it's not for everyone. Exactly. If you've tried it and you can't find one that you like, maybe you're right. Maybe tea just isn't the thing for you. I feel like going through your tea stash is like that scene in Scott Pilgrim. I mean, it could be. It's an ever-growing... I'm on Central, but I absolutely slept in. Nice. Sleeping in is like my favorite thing to do. I don't let myself do it very often, unless I do it accidentally. But I just love having a day where I can just like roll over and go back to sleep a few times. That's like my favorite thing. I almost did it this morning, but then I remembered I had to stream. And I was like, oops, I'm already gonna be late for my stream. I used to be that way with wine too, and then I found mead was like my gateway alcohol, and then I started drinking mead, and then I started drinking cider, and now I drink white wine. I don't drink reds so much. I don't know if I'll ever be a red wine drinker. But I definitely drink the white wines now. You sort of develop like tea and wine, it's sort of the same. You develop a palate for it, and if you don't develop a palate for it, then it's just probably not for you. So I know where I'm aiming with this. Once I cannot live without a posh kettle, I have reached my goal. Yeah. Oh yeah. Once you need a kettle that has like 4 or 5 different temperature settings, that's how you know that the tea has you. The tea has its hooks in you. When you have, I literally have a quick reference guide on my screen right here. I can read it. with the temperatures for different types of tea and like the steep time. So like 175 for green tea, 185 for white tea, 190 for oolong, 200 for French press, rooibos, and herbal blends, and 212 for black tea. When you have that, that's when you know that the tea has you. That's when you know you've gone all in. There's no coming back at that point. Apple cinnamon. Yes, I have an apple cinnamon tea and it is amazing. I have a kettle that goes on the stove. Nice. What is happening? We're talking about tea, Marathon, because we plumbed the depths of what's going on with my writing life. And you guys apparently like it when I talk about tea, so we're talking about tea. We're trying to get everyone on the tea train. Heck yeah, we are. I still haven't found a coffee that I like. Normally I ask for a latte because that's the only kind of coffee I know, but I'll ask for it iced with hazelnut syrup, so essentially just want cold nut juice. I mean, maybe you just don't like the taste of hot drinks, Peter. Like, because if you drink a tea or a coffee hot versus cold, it tastes completely different. So maybe you just don't like the taste of hot tea or hot coffee. You could try iced teas. You could try iced coffee, even though I think it's an abomination. Or you know, just drink what you like. I mean, we learned when Cauliflumps came to visit that he pretty much just likes to drink water, and his experience with taste is so different from our experience with taste that, like, by the end of the visit, it made sense to me why he likes water so much. Like, when he tastes tea or cider or whatever, he tastes something completely different to me. And he describes something completely different than what I describe when I taste it. So, I mean, if water's your jam, water's your jam. Or, you know, like whatever you drink, it's... Everybody's tongue is different, right? So drink what is good for you. I skip wine and go right to beer or bourbon. Yeah, I usually drink a lot of sweet white wines as well. Take care, Minty. Thanks for dropping by. Really appreciate it. I really don't think I like hot drinks. I think it's more psychological, though. Like, when I was a kid, it always seemed like adults had hot drinks. Yeah, I mean, if you don't like hot drinks, there's nothing wrong with that, because again, it changes the flavor, right? Drinking coffee hot versus, this is why I don't even like drinking my coffee lukewarm. Drinking it hot versus drinking it cold, it completely changes the flavor. So it's not weird if heating something up makes it unpalatable to you. Maybe you just don't like the flavor profile when it's heated up. Maybe you like it to be sweeter or tangier or whatever, something that it's just not when it's heated up. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's not like less adult to not drink a hot drink. Like, if you want a cold drink, have a cold drink. There are people who drink iced coffee in the winter. Just drink what you like. Iced coffee is an abomination. I don't like cold. I don't like the taste of cold coffee. It's too bitter for me. I need it to be hot. We don't want to be adults here anyway. Heck yeah, I'll drink to that. I don't like hot drinks, but it's a temperature thing. Yeah, I mean, I like my hot drinks really hot, like burning my tongue hot. But some people just don't like that. Some people won't drink anything above lukewarm. It's just a smudge of cuteness. Aw, thank you, Chris Aquarius. I tried to say both of your names at the same time and it came out very oddly. Everyone's tongue is different. Yes, Shagraz. Everyone's tongue percepts differently. I feel like that was meant to be sassy. But I'm not sure how. Also, Chris, how are you? What are you doing? Welcome to the stream. Normally I write and or edit, but today we're just sort of chillaxing, chatting, talking about tea, because that's sort of the tangent that we've ended up on. The theme song for my 35th birthday was Avril Lavigne's Here's to Never Growing Up. I don't want to grow up. I think we have an overrated idea of what growing up means. Like, if you're into something, I mean, I'm a writer. I used to write little doodles when I was in school. I used to daydream all the time and write stuff down, and people might consider that childish, but now I do it as my full-time job. And I have office hours and I work 12 hours a day. Like, I think the idea that you grow up and you stop doing something because it's unseemly for an adult, or you start doing something because it's what adults are supposed to do, I just think that's such a silly, outdated idea. Like, if you're passionate about something, if you enjoy something, then do it. And don't let anyone tell you that it's for kids or whatever. Like, look at comic book artists. Like, they're writing stories and they're telling stories in a specific medium, and you know, people might say, oh, just comics are just for kids, but that's silly. Because clearly they're not. Clearly adults write them, adults like animate them, illustrate them, and sometimes those stories deal with quite adult themes as well. So I don't think we really ever outgrow anything. I think society convinces us that growing up means a certain thing, and it doesn't have to mean that. You can do whatever makes you happy, and you shouldn't feel guilty. Like, I think of childish things as like not learning to deal with your emotions in a like civilized way. That would be like not growing up. But, you know, telling stories, making art, cosplay, like all that kind of stuff, like adults do that all the time, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's not childish. So I'm 23 and I still sleep with a stuffed animal. Allie, I'm 36 and I still sleep with a stuffed animal as well. I have Big Blue Stuffed Dragon and I love him to bits, and you cannot have my stuffed animals. Over my cold dead body, can you steal my stuffed animals from me? Absolutely. Do what makes you happy, and, you know, just whatever other people say you're not supposed to do, I mean, whatever. They aren't you. They don't know you. They don't get to say what you do. I think it's meant to be a pickup line. There's something cute on your face. Sassy Shagraz in this stream. Ma'am, I must insist that you're mistaken. You don't know Shagraz the way I do. Shagraz is my partner in Sass Crime when we're viewers together. Shagraz gets me. The fun adults do that all the time. I love cosplayers and model builders and artists and crafters and musicians. Exactly. And honestly, what is a professional, like, musician or writer or artist? It's just someone who never stopped working on their childhood passions. It starts when you're young, and when you get older and you start, you keep doing it, and you keep spending time on it, and then eventually you're good enough at it that you can do it professionally. Like, are you gonna tell Beethoven to grow, like, did people tell Beethoven to grow up and stop composing music? Like, it's just so weirdly backwards in our society that we love art and we love books and we love music, but we tend to think that the acts of putting those things together are childish somehow. So it's really weirdly backwards, but 100%, we are who we are. We're all mad here, and we're here to celebrate that madness and embrace what makes us unique. If it's not harming yourself, others, there's no need to stop. Exactly. And especially if it's something that makes you happy, if art makes you happy, if telling stories makes you happy, if composing music makes you happy, absolutely keep doing that. Oh, Shagraz trying to pick up Megan. Shagraz knows that he has me to back him up whenever there's sass involved and I'm not on camera. If I'm not on camera and there's sass to be given, Shagraz knows that I'm gonna back him up on that. I spent hours upon days playing video games when I was younger. I wish I'd jumped onto Twitch train earlier. Yeah, I wish that Twitch had been a thing when I was a bit younger too, but it's here now. I'm feeling quite fired up now. You're giving everyone here a pep talk. Yes, that's one of the reasons I started doing these streams, honestly. Like, usually I'm here just tippy-tap typing away at my mechanical keyboard, making clicky-clack sounds. But when I'm not doing the clicky-clacks, I like to remind people that, you know, everything that you devote time to is valid. If you're writing, it's valid. If you're doing art, it's valid. And then there's things that I'm not even thinking of. If you make clothing, if you paint, if you do, like, whatever it is you do, whatever you know, creative thing that you're into, it's 100% valid. Don't ever let anyone look at you and tell you that you should stop doing that, or grown-ups don't do that. Or my least favorite one, there's no money in that. Fuck that shit. Not everything in this world is about money. You don't necessarily do everything to make money. If you want to make soap because you want to make soap for yourself and you're never once going to sell those soaps, make soap, make clothing, make art, write books, do whatever you want to do. It doesn't have to be for money. Fuck that shit. Okay, bye. Bye, Shugraz. You'll be back. I know you will. You can't quit this. You can't quit this sass. I always hesitated because I didn't want to get found out. That's true. Ghost was hesitant for a while because he didn't want his students to find him on Twitch. And then he wore a mask for a while, and then he was like, it's too hot. I need to not wear masks anymore. Yeah, with the money thing, people are so strange. Exactly. Like, I mean, because I heard that all the time when well, first of all, when I was younger, it was always, you can't be a writer because you can't spell. Lol, spell check is a thing. And also, writing all the time has taught me how to spell, so thanks. And then I moved to Canada and they spell everything different. Well, not everything, but now there's all these extra U's in words, so that's been fun. But also, like, it's not always about money. Like, maybe, like, I do write full time and I do hope to someday make more money off it than I currently do. But not everyone who writes for money. Some people write for fun. Some people draw for fun. Some people write music for fun. It doesn't have to make you a profit to be part of your life. People have hobbies, and hobbies are good, and you should have things that you do to relax that you don't necessarily do because you're gonna sell it. Imagine being like, oh, I can't cook this dinner because I'm not gonna make money off of it. Like, it's such a backwards way of thinking. One day you'll all see. All right, Shagraz, I'll be waiting. I'll be waiting for that day. I can't wait to see. Everything is spelled the same in US and Canada. It is. It's, you know, I edit for another author who is Canadian, but she publishes to an American market, so she wants all of her spellings to be American. And she always forgets a bunch of them. So, I'm always like, do you want me to make them American spellings? And she's like, yes, please. Me trying to see, oh, Ghost. Here comes the fun examples again. We all saw the door, not hitting your ass on the way out, Shagraz. Do you need to try it again? Make sure to erase all those unnecessary U's. I do. I write in American English again because I publish to an American market. But it's hard. Like, when I went to college, I was constantly getting marked wrong for using American spellings because I wasn't used to Canadian spellings. No U's are unnecessary. The one that drives me the most nuts is that Canadians say Z instead of Z. Like, we don't say alphabet. Like, why would you say Z? I don't understand why you would expand the last letter of the alphabet but not expand all the other ones. Now we'll know who's truly Canadian in the chat because I'm going to get a bunch of comments. Novosaurus Rex, hello, how are you? I say both Z and Z. I know it's a British thing too to say Z. It drives me nuts because it just doesn't make sense to me. 'Cause we're cool. I'm doing pretty good. I'm taking a week off of writing, so this has mostly been just a chatting stream. I think we're winding down now. We were talking about tea. Now we're just kind of sassing about things, I think. Z is the original. Z is like Hackerman's. So there's no good reason why you say Z. It's just a cultural difference. I pronounce it both scone and scone. Tomato, tomata, potato, patata. Just because it came first doesn't mean it's better. I agree with Shagraz on that one. I think consistency is key. We'll just have to wait 100 years or so to see what they use then to get it right. Z forever. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me that you go like through, because all of the letters aside from like W, are mostly the same like length and how you say them. So why would you expand the Z into a Z? It just doesn't make sense in the logical part of my brain. And this is from someone who often prefers like the British spelling of words to the point where it gets me into trouble sometimes. BRB getting tea. Enjoy your tea, Vinyl. Because it has to be irregular, I guess. It was funny because if anyone's ever seen the show Stargate Atlantis, Rodney McKay is a Canadian character played by a Canadian actor. And they have ZPMs in that show. And he always made a point of saying ZPM. And it drove me nuts, but it also did like what it was supposed to do for the character, because that character was like supposed to be like obnoxious. And it was one of the things that made him really obnoxious was like everyone would be talking about ZPMs and he'd be like ZPM, and just like this really snotty way. A chicken and an egg laying in bed. The egg looks disappointed. The chicken is having a smoke and relaxing. The egg turns to the chicken and says, I guess we answered that question. Lol. Probably in 100 years, some people will be arguing that it's pronounced Zorp. That's funny because it's probably true. If we decide to pronounce Z Zorp, I'd be down. I can see that. Very prescient. I hate to do this, guys, but I do think we're winding down. I don't know that I'm talking about anything relevant anymore. Which maybe relevancy isn't needed, but I do have to go get ready to feed my husband. One more time, I'm just going to pop this up on screen. We talked about this earlier, but for anyone who missed it, here is the latest cover for the 5th book in the Celestial Serenade Unity. That is going to be coming out in June, I believe, is what I said. Yes, June. So this is the latest cover. Again, I'm not going to say which characters are on the cover. That's for readers to speculate about. If you've read the series, you can give it a guess. But this will be coming out in June. This is the 5th book in the Celestial Serenade. If you're interested in that series, you can pop over to the new release link and check out Duality, the 4th book. Also, you can click on the link to the 1st book and check that out. It is a space opera. I'm biased. I'm super pleased about it. This was made by the fabulous Molly Phipps of We Got You Covered Book Design. She's absolutely blown me away amazing. I've never been disappointed with one of her covers. I send her a wall of text and she sends me back beautiful, beautiful images. And this one was, I basically, because usually when she sends me the mock-up, I send notes back about what needs changed, and I was basically like, I love it, there's no notes. I had nothing to add. She had just blown it completely away. So, absolutely thrilled with this. If you're a writer and you're looking for a cover artist, highly recommend. She's amazing. I'll pop up her website here in a minute. As well, so people can see it. This is her right here. We Got You Covered. If you pop over into her portfolio of custom covers, you'll find several of my books eventually on the list. You can get sort of an idea for the different kinds of covers that she does. These books here, Gabrielle, the Gabrielle series, was written by my good friend, the Bowtie author, and edited partially by yours truly. And you'll find some familiar covers here on this site. She also did my Dreamers Do Lie duology covers as well. So check her out. It's well worth a look. Her art is gorgeous. She has a pretty wide repertoire. How her husband. Yeah. Ghost, feed your damn self with all those Zeds. There you go. That sounds like a good idea, actually. How could you do this? How could I feed my husband, our husband, air quotes? Z is a letter, it can't feed me. Well, that sounds like a you problem. You live between a rock and a hard place? I can see that. Had an idea for a writing project, of which I've got 5 books planned, and had a great idea for the spine cover art. All the art will come together to make an image of something related to the story. That'd be awesome, Peter. I've never really tried to do spine art. Mostly because I think I would probably have to pay extra for something like that, for Molly to do something like that. But I just love the way Molly does her spines. So I've never really thought too hard about that. Honestly, I like having a cover artist because then I don't have to put too much thought into some of my covers. I can just be like, hey, here's a bunch of thoughts, and she knows exactly what to do and exactly what to make it look like. And it's gorgeous, and I love it. So I'm just gonna turn myself back on, and I'm gonna see who is available for a raid. If I can just click on the right thing, that'd be great. People do it with DVDs. I mean, I do think people have done it. I know it's a big thing, maybe more so with graphic novels than with novels, but I know that some people have done that with books as well. Neo is playing a horror game. Yeah, well, if you guys have a request of who you'd like to... Normally we go to other writing streams, but this was not a writing stream, so it would make sense for us to maybe hop on to someone else. Or we could drop in on Neo for sure. Also, Sloth Siren is streaming as well, I think. Sorry, I gotta mute. Spine art for books is a thing. Yeah, I know that some book series do that. Take care, Roaming Witch. Thank you so much for dropping by. And to everyone who dropped by, anyone who's new, anyone who's returning, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I will be back to Tippy Tap typing next Tuesday. I believe that is April the 5th. Keep an eye out on the Discord. I'll hopefully have some good news about my computer updates as well. But yeah, so I should be back to editing and Tippy Tap typing away. So it looks like, yeah, would you guys like to drop in on Neo, or would you like to drop in on Sloth? I think they might both be playing the same game, although not together. I know Sloth is playing Dead by Daylight, and Neo's also playing Dead by Daylight, so it looks like we're getting Dead by Daylight. Let's go with Neo. Yeah, we could totally drop in on Neo. Oh no, Bard! We're wrapping up! We are ending, I'm so sorry. But, I mean, good news. You can go back and watch the VOD and, like, get all the juicy deets about what's going on with me. Hi, bye. Well, I'm so glad that you stopped by to say hi, even if we're wrapping up. I'm so sorry. I feel so bad. We were thinking about dropping in on Neo, who's playing some Dead by Daylight. I don't get to drop in on our gamer friends very often because I usually go into writing streams. There was a lot of talk about tea at the end. There were a lot of tangents. It's a beautiful disaster. But yeah, let's go drop in on Neo then. Let's say hi. Neo hangs out here in my streams quite often. He started writing after he started hanging out on my streams, and he has had a lot to say about learning the new writing process and enjoying it. So I would love to throw the love in his direction. Need some hot herbal tea with lemon and honey right now. That sounds delicious. Bard Owl, thank you so much for the cheer. Ronnie got me sick again. Oh no, Bard, you've been sick so many times in the past few months. This makes Megan's favorite Star Trek show TNG. Lol. Tea Earl Grey hot, please. That was very, very generous of you. Thank you. Especially since I'm like wrapping up. I feel so bad that we didn't get a chance to talk. But I will be doing actual writing streams next week, Bard, if you want to come hang out for one of those. He like never gets sick. Yes, I will be posting a schedule probably sometime in the area of Sunday for anyone who wants. Right now I have all my schedule stuff turned off because everything is kind of just impromptu during the break. But I will have a schedule posted on Sunday, and then everything will align and show when I'm going to be around. So Friday is my last day at current job, so I will definitely be here next week. Yes! I look forward to that, Bard, because we don't get to hang out very often. I'll bring you both soup. I hope you do this and feel better soon. Yes, take care of yourself. You've been working your butt off, I know. So please make sure to do some self-care. Look after yourself. I'm gonna start that raid timer because Ghost has said that he is hungry, which means I gotta go do the cooking. So we're gonna raid Neo. We're just gonna look at that right tip of the day, which is sometimes the best way to figure out what's going on in your story next or what you need to do to get over the hump is to actually walk away. Take a break. Don't think about it for a while. Do something else. Clean your house. Do a puzzle. Let your brain wander. And suddenly, when you've had some rest and you're feeling better, you will find that ideas come to you more easily. If the well is full, it is easier to spend energy on creative pursuits. I'm about to eat my weight in Mexican food, and I think that counts as self-care. Absolutely! Enjoy that food, Bard. Enjoy the heck out of it. Thanks again to everyone who stopped by. I really appreciate it. You're all the best. This was great. I look forward to next week to being back to the clicky clacks and the tippy taps. And hopefully I'll have good news about my computer in 24 hours. So keep your fingers and toes crossed for me. Ghost is jealous because he loves Mexican food. Give Neo some love and take care, everyone. I will see you next week.